And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, we're going to be doing a recap on the community's feedback on the armor changes that happened last week. We'll talk about that in discussion. Maybe we'll also go over GigaBeef's top tier list revised for the new armor system. We got some news recap to cover. Got some screenshots and opinions about the new locked rooms loot pools that was added with the arena update, ammo and the new armor meta, game balancing, and then finally empty raid detector. Talk more about that later.
Very exciting. Very exciting. I have a single dual stream PC setup point to note before we begin. I thought it was done. I thought it was all done. But I realized the other day when I was streaming that when I was using Google Chrome on my stream PC, because I'm using everything over there now if I can, it was kind of laggy and sort of weird. And I was like, this shouldn't be happening because the CPU's at like 50%, 60% over there. So there's no issues. The GPU's dealing with most of the hard work. So what's going on? So I opened up Core Temp. It was running at 95 degrees, Church. It was up against its thermal limit and throttling itself.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's not ideal. So I thought, I really should change this because that's not good. It's like, it's working and it's fine.
Why is it running so hot?
Well, so I bought quite a cheap cooler for CPU.
Yeah.
Which is fine because I was like, it's not under load really. It's like, it's just doing other usual processory things. So that's okay. And it's quite an efficient chip. Like the 3700X actually is quite a low power chip. And so I just like threw this like, 15-pound fan, like small heatsink thing on the top of it. And the big mistake was that I thought to myself, you never use the stock paste that comes with these things. You never do that. But I'm going to do it anyway because who cares? I'm sure it's going to be fine. Anyway, I took the heatsink off, and the paste is just vaporized, just none, just gone, all gone, and it was just metal on metal. So yeah, that's what was happening. So I had the last little bit of Grizzly thermal paste from my 5800X 3D upgrade. Took that off, got out the old Propan tool, did a bit of a thing, put that stuff on, stuck it on, and now it goes to maybe 80 or something. So it's still not like amazing, but
so wait, how did that happen? It just
I don't know. It was
evaporated
just like it was definitely there when I put it on.
Yeah,
but it's just like it's just evaporated. I don't know. It's just like obviously some crap paste that's just disappeared. Or I don't know, or it's just like really thin amount. I'm not sure. So so now it's not throttling itself at the thermal junction limit anymore, which is good. It's good. I mean, it's not a great cooler, but it doesn't matter because like the stream PC sits at like 50 to 60% CPU, so it's not like it's working it super hard. I'm not like playing Grey Zone Warfare on that thing or anything like that.
95
Celsius,
I was like, oh my god,
exactly, like literally the limit, and the CPU is like, no more. We're going to start turning the multiplier down.
Right.
So that was why it started. That's why I was feeling laggy. So that's fixed. That's fixed. It's good. So now hopefully everything should be perfect.
Oh, glad your setup didn't catch on fire.
Yes. I'm glad to. So we've had some cool stuff this week. I guess should we do quick, just like news recap stuff first before we dive into the meat of it? There's like a couple of little posts. First one was Nikita's variable zoom. Nikita's been like a bit lighter this week in terms of posting stuff and about things and whatnot. But he showed the upcoming variable zoom for who knows when. I don't really know when this is arriving. I think if I go back and have a look at my Tarkov TV list, which one's this one? Tarkov TV May. I think the variable was in here somewhere. Oh, maybe not. No, I can't find it. I thought he said about it in the thing. Maybe I called it something else. I think he might have just said, "Oh, it's planned" or whatever. Oh no, LPVO zoom. Okay, I called it something else in my little sheet. But it looked like, okay, based on the ordering, it looks like it's probably not coming in the August patch, but maybe a bit later than that. Maybe September or October or something. So I don't know, I'm not sure. But anyway, so it looks like you could be able to zoom the Voodoo from 1 until 6. This does have some interesting implications for some of the other scopes. There's like quite a few other optics, like there's the one that you used to have to kill Sherman with, like the March Tactical, and a few others like that. Like if I click through this, because there's a bunch of them that we just forget exist. Like most of them, it's fine. There's some of them like the Elcam, which are obviously going to be unaffected because they are 1 times to and
Mm-hmm.
4 times. It's not like it's not an LPVO, so it doesn't. You can't just like zoom like that with it. But for the actual scopes, like right now, you've got basically it's all of these ones like the Schmidt and Bender 128, the Razor, Big Tango, all of those kind of things. But then there's a whole bunch of them that are just like stuck at like max magnification, like the Leopold Mark IV, the
Yeah,
Marsh
that's
Tactical,
it.
the Hensoldt is like 16 and 4 times only. What else? Others that are just stuck. Maybe maybe the KMZ ones as well. They're like the Russian ones.
Yeah,
Could be
kinda,
kind of good. They're like
yeah.
the bigger ones because they're like 3 to 10.
Yeah.
I feel like you might be able to move
Yeah.
those. So it could be neat. We'll get some like new scopes in the game. Like I've been using the SVD a bit recently, and I was contemplating going back to using the 3 to 12 Schmidt just to have like 3 be kind of the base zoom. It might be kind of cool, but yeah, to be able to variably move it around, I think it'd be pretty neat. The biggest question that a lot of people have had is like, it doesn't look as if there's going to be any animation. So it
Right.
just, the little lever just moves.
Mm-hmm.
Does this make LPVOs even more OP than they are now? And now you have all this flexibility, the zoom. Like, should there be an animation
Mm-hmm.
to kind of balance them or whatever? I don't know. I don't really have like super strong feelings about it, to be honest, because
Yeah.
LPVOs are just going to be used anyway. They're just good.
Yeah.
As people said, they're good in real life. Good.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether an animation will, whether it's even like they'll still be good and still be used. It'll just make the game more annoying. So I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's
But it'd
cool
be
though.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing, speaking of scopes, I think the USEC starter scope for like the M700 that you get when you start a fresh wipe
Hmm.
is like stuck on one of the crappy ones. Like it's either like you get 18x or 20x. So if that also gets affected, like that would actually be very useful because then you would start out the game with like a extremely long range scope on an M700.
Yeah, it's a good point. What do you actually? Which one is it again? I mean, is it like March
I
Tactical or the
think it's
Hensoldt or something? It's
I
like
think
one of
it's
those.
yeah, yeah. I think I had it up. Insult maybe this one 416.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe.
no, I think actually no, I think the scope because I'm looking at the pictures down here. I think the site is a bit more. Maybe it is a Smith. No, it's not the Smith Mitter. I don't know which one it is.
It's
Is it
one of
the
them.
is it the Leopold? I think it might actually be the
It might be
Leopold.
that one. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Leopold. Yeah, it's one of them that I sell immediately and then never ever buy again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, currently only a 20 zoom is available on the Leopold Mark IV.
what should it be? 6.5 to
6.5 to
20? Did you say?
20, according to this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that would be a
So,
pretty decent upgrade. Be only toggle from 6.5 all the way to 20 if you ever did need to see into the next map. I
yeah.
zoomed in so much, I saw into 1.0.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see. It'll
Yeah.
shake up the scope balance a little bit, but like it does seem a shame that there's these scopes now that just no one uses. So that'll be good. Somebody mentioned to me that it looks like the reticle's kind of just way too big or something, when you zoom out like that section. And I
Kind
think
of.
I think it kind of is, but maybe it's just because it's work in progress, so they're probably going to
Yeah.
change it. Like, but they do work like that where the
Mm-hmm.
reticle changes as you zoom. But I think it starts off. I think that circle starts off smaller because I actually went to look up some pictures, some real pictures of what the video looks like. I'm sure they'll probably change it. They'll just downscale it or whatever they need to do. But I quite like it. It's quite neat. Where it's almost like a dot at the beginning, and then you zoom right in, and then there's all the graduations. Like it's pretty cool. Pretty
Just
cool.
as just as the funniest side, I did see that Logical posted about how the animations look familiar, and I guess this is a video from Tarkin, not mistaken. Yeah. Where I guess he's showing off like a SPT mod. I mean, they look like pretty similar in implementation ish.
Yeah.
But he got absolutely cooked in the comments. Which
Why?
I guess people were just like, yeah, that's exactly how scopes are supposed to function. What do you expect? Which, like, I don't know. I've heard you talked about like it's like some people like there's like this outcry for like just use the SPT mod, and then suddenly they do something that's like similar in SPT. They're like, oh my god, you just copied SPT. It's like, guys, come on. This is not the battle you want to fight, okay? Like,
Yeah, like what do you want here? Like
right.
we've been asking him to look at SPT for ages for
Mm-hmm.
inspiration and whatever. So like people said that to me as well. Like, oh look, they've just taken the SPT like pretty much wholesale. And was like, good,
Yeah.
great. The people have like passionate modders have built a system that people love, and BSG have taken it wholesale. Fantastic, like
Yeah.
amazing. I can't think of anything better. Like this is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like for me, this is a huge win.
If they did quote unquote steal the code, great. Probably more like if they even looked at it, the actual any source code, they probably just saw how they implement it. But I don't even think it's the same thing. It's like comparing apples to oranges, because one's like through a plug-in that hooks into, anyways, I don't know, technical jargon that I know 1%
Yeah.
about. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and like even if
anyways.
some of it is there, right? Like it means that SPT would have helped reduce dev time. Like that's like the worst. The worst case scenario is that they had to do it themselves based on an idea that someone else has done. Best
Mhm.
case scenario is that some of the dev time got reduced because of SPT and the work that people already
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
So like it's I don't know. It's ideas at worst and it's implementation at best. It's great. Like it's fine.
Yep.
Kind of what this is for. Like the modding community is a great test bed for this kind of stuff. We've said it a million times. BSG can only put so much stuff into live. And yes, it's beta product, but as we said, it's not really because
Mhm.
it's live and they're scared to make big changes. You can't have 25 different branches of Escape from Tarkov. It doesn't work like that, right? It's not the way that the game works. So, but you can on SPT, right? You can have one guy making his special branch with
Yeah.
whatever in it and just testing stuff. So, yeah, it's good. I like it. I like it.
Shout out to dot slash. I've seen this like meme from it before. Wait till you see how light switches work. In reference to logical switch. Anyways, no, like,
Yeah.
hey, just I thought it was a little funny side.
In fairness, all he's doing is saying it looks similar. Like I don't think he's
Yeah,
even accusing
yeah.
them or anything. He's just like, hey, this looks really similar. Which
Hmm.
it could be taken that you can't like. There's no
That
tone
is
in what
very
he's
true.
written,
Yes,
so
that
it
is
could either
very
be just
true.
like, hey, this looks familiar, and like he thinks this is a good thing, or hey, this looks familiar, and I think that
He's
you're
not
not.
even explicitly
Yeah,
saying anything. He's just stating a fact.
yeah, yeah. You could take it any way you want, or don't if you
Yeah.
don't like assuming on the internet, like I don't. But anyway, it looks cool. The other thing that we got from Nikita, the other little Nikki leak, was the map teaser. This generated a lot of speculation. This one was more recent. This was maybe yesterday or the day before, which is it's kind of weird, if I'm honest with you, because of where this is. You can only
Yeah.
really tell where it is based upon the third screenshot. So it looks like reserve
Yeah,
or
it
woods,
does. It does.
and if you go to the third one, that one is the one that uh is the most obvious because I think first picture is looking east, I believe. The second picture is kind of in the same. I think it's looking the other way, but you can't really see stuff because the horizon is sort of hidden by other building. If you move to the
Sorry.
next one, yeah, that one.
Technical difficulties. All right, here we go.
It's all good. So yeah, that one you can't really see much. But then the last one, and then the last one though, this is the interesting one
Yes.
because you can see on the horizon the chimneys of the factory
Oh,
customs area
yeah. So,
between the cylindrical chimney that you were just on and the tall chimney. So you
oh,
see,
yeah, back here.
and even more left, even further left. So there's the building with the roof that you can see on the left hand side of the picture, and there's the tall chimney, like closer to you, even further left, even further left,
Oh, yeah,
like
and
next to the spike.
and
Yeah,
this
and so
too.
the little two buildings next, sort of on the right
Mm-hmm.
of the triangle, that is factory itself.
Mm-hmm.
So this means that this is an extension of the old railway on Woods. And the old railway is behind that red truck somewhere, behind the cargo container, like off in the background. So it doesn't look
Yeah,
exactly the
you're
same.
right. You're right.
And I went there, and there isn't
Yeah,
really anything
there's
here.
nothing
But
there.
this is This is basically where the BTR now leaves the raid outside of northern UN and comes back in through regular UN. This kind of actually fills that area in. I guess they probably had to use that area of the map for the BTR to travel through anyway. But now you'll be able to go in there, I guess. And this then extends the train line from Woods. Now, I'll need to actually grab a picture. I can't remember where this then goes, because the Woods train goes somewhere important. And so this is probably why they're doing it, right? Because of the connected maps thing. So that, I believe, goes up to... actually, I guess it could kind of go anywhere based on the map, but it's most likely to go up to interchange, I think. Let me just see if I've got it. Yeah, so... Yeah, so I think it most likely comes in through interchange. I think it goes to the kind of train crash bit on interchange, maybe. Oh no, maybe I think it runs up through railway, actually. I don't think it's necessarily the train crash per se, but I think it runs up through railway exit, which then goes towards streets. I think, yes, it comes out of here to the right, along interchanges like that way, along the train track, because customs is below Woods. So below this map is customs, and the train track at Big Red comes up and meets this train track, which then goes round and into interchange, which runs up along the whole western side of interchange and through the railway exit and all the way to streets. That's how it should work anyway, I think.
Yes, you're right. I wish I mean, I probably could fetch it, but I do have actually there is one. Can you send me what you're looking at?
Yeah, so I was trying to find... I wasn't sure if this was the best one, but I'll send you the one I'm looking at right now.
I know
Your
there's a
file's
couple of
too
fan
powerful.
made.
Oh no.
Oh, is it like the 40K?
Some limit, yeah. I mean, I'll just take it like... I'll just take a screenshot of it. It's good enough.
Yeah, that'll work.
That's 2 megabytes. That's okay. And you can bring that up. Let me see if we can find... See if there's a better... while we're looking at.
Yeah, so we got... Okay. Ooh, I gotta use my geography skills.
Yeah,
which is
so
a big
Woods... Because Woods on... There's not really much on Woods. It's kind of hard to see, right? But so interchange is there.
Here's
and then
the river.
That's the river. That's the river that splits customs. So customs Big Red is on the other side of the river.
Oh, I see. So I see. I'm tracking. This is that. Wait.
Yeah, that's the road that goes between...
Oh, this would be the UN.
I think.
So
the UN is like over by the lake.
Or is this a train track?
I think that was a normal road. I think the black is the
right.
train.
You're right.
So the railway station...
Hard to say. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But I see what you're saying. The railway. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think the old railway station is that little orange blob in the middle of Woods.
Yes.
That one there.
Okay.
Because it doesn't show you the map edge here. So right now you can't go further than that. So that's where it is. And it'll expand that out.
That checks out. Yeah.
Into here. And then those link up, and then it goes past interchange, up through railway, and off to the street somewhere. So
that's very good deductive work, Giga. Because I looked at this and I was like, man, that kind of looks like customs, but then again, that kind of looks like reserve because all the train stuff. And I ultimately thought it was going to be terminal related.
Yeah, but this is why I feel like this is kind of weird, because other than like the connected... I mean, it's probably for connected maps. That's probably the reason why they're doing this. Because otherwise, like, did anybody want an expansion there? Like, weird. Because some people were saying like, oh, maybe this is customs, but it's too high up is the problem. Because customs finishes really... You can't really see it on the map boundary, but customs... Because those customs buildings are there on the in-game map, which is much bigger than customs itself and has factory on it listed as a location. But you could see factory from this place, and it's not that close. So customs would have to get huge if this is going to be a customs expansion. So I think it must be Woods, because it's right next to the Woods area. It has to be. I don't think it makes sense to be a customs expansion. And some people thought it would be, but I mean, yeah, if it was, then it's going to be massive and like really change customs a lot. But I doubt it will be. So it's just, it must be something to do with connected maps. Otherwise, there'd be no reason for them to do it. In my opinion, I think it's just to connect using the train lines to make the maps more
Or
cohesive. It
just
has to be.
flesh out the world a bit more, make things more
Yeah, I mean,
cohesive. Either
I
way.
was also thinking there's not really anything down there onwards,
Yeah,
so maybe
yeah.
they're kind of add some more, another point of interest could be good. Like this, down by between UN Roadblock and RUAF, there's like nothing really there, right? It's like now there's the med camp, but on the other end, it's just the old railway station, and sometimes you check it to see if you can kill 2 scavs for a quest. That's basically it.
But it's funny. Shout outs to Dan Exter, who I watched stream yesterday for a bit, and he was playing Woods, and I was like, "What map is this? Is this an arena map?" Because he was over by the Scav house, and since they did the BTR expansion, they've like changed the map a bit. Like there's like new furnishings and things, and there's like all these barriers around Scav House, like makeshift sort of like barriers with like logs and wind stuff. And eventually I realized it was woods, and I was like, man, shows you how long I've been out of the Tarkov space, because I was like, what is this, a new map? Like is this arena? What's going on?
It kind of looks like arena, doesn't it? Because you've got all those like barricades and stuff that are set up for like a gunfight. But
Yeah,
it's just like it's just more stuff now. It's interesting.
yeah, it looks good. So having that added, because especially when they added the woods expansion back not too many soons ago, but a few soons ago, it was kind of a barren map in terms of like loot and POIs, so having even more stuff on that side, because really the only reason you're ever like on that side is like extract, you just spawned, or you're farming scavs, because there's like some by the train station and whatnot. So yeah, it's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think that's most of the Nikita stuff, yeah? If not
Yep, I
all.
think that was it. I think he's only given us a few little teasers so far. So okay, so I guess let's talk about armor a bit. So we've had the new armor update for a little bit. Communities had their feedback.
Oh.
It is quite divisive, I would say. Although I don't know. Let's put it this way. I think a good place to start with this is Airwing did a poll.
Oh, yeah.
Which was quite interesting, actually. I've just remembered. And where was it? So this was on the 16th. So this was a couple of days ago, but he put a poll up on YouTube saying, everyone has had a few days to suggest the latest armor changes, figure out how they feel. Where do you stand right now on the latest buff and simplification? And out of 2,000 people, 51% of people said it's a good change. 9% of people said it's a bad change. And 40% of people said don't care. Which is quite interesting. I
40%.
am surprised by that result. Yeah. 40% of people were just like, whatever.
I am surprised as well.
So the majority of people, of the people that actually care about the issue, seem to care and unlike it. And there's some people who think it's bad. So in my like anecdotal movements around, the Tarkov community, again, it seems for me, it felt more split based on what people were saying. There's a lot of people who think this is the second coming of Tarkov because it makes the game actually feel good again since the changes to the armor hitbox rework that we had in patch 14. And then there's a bunch of people who feel that this ruins the game, that it was better with the way it was before. And I can kind of see both angles to the argument. Like what it comes down to ultimately is there's a line, and these two things that we're trying to go for are mutually exclusive. One is the concept of making it feel fair for everybody. Everybody stands a chance at killing the juiced guy, right?
Right.
And if you do that, you make you have the system like it was before, where armor doesn't really protect you. Like it's an advantage, but it doesn't completely protect you, and any bullet can kill you. And then on the other end, you've got people feeling like fights are actually feeling better and progression matters and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the problem is the more you swing it towards the anybody has a chance, it then means that progression feels pointless and buying good armor feels pointless. If you swing it all the way towards
right.
armor working, then it feels better for players who have progression, but it really means that you do need to get trader levels, progress, whatever. Otherwise, it's very, very hard to compete. and players that don't have enough time to compete in the game feel like it's basically impossible. Like they just can't win a fight anymore. Like they don't stand a chance going toe to toe with anybody. They have to do something really dramatic or different to try and win. So I actually kind of like it's interesting because it really depends on what type of player you are, how you like to play the game, how much time you invest in the game. Like this change caters more towards the hardcore players, people with more experience, people who've got more time, who can progress faster, and it does punish those who have less time, less hours, less experience, less likely to win a gunfight, etc. So that's really, where you are.
Yeah.
Will just depend on how you feel about it, I think. I mean, for me personally, I count as an experienced player for sure, even though I'm not necessarily the best at PvP, but the game feels way better this way than it did before for me, because you get even me, right? You get the ability to turn around, like you get shot once or twice from afar, and you don't just fall over. It's just it feels better in that way. You feel like you have a chance to respond and that kind of thing. And I mean, I would say that scavs also feel obviously a lot less deadly because they're not just going to suddenly lead slug you through the side of the underneath your arm or whatever.
That
So
was a
on
big
that
one for
basis, it
me.
feels good. So yeah, it feels a lot better on that basis. So and I think this is the thing. My overall general sentiment about it is that it definitely feels better, but I feel like it's maybe too far that way towards progress. Like you now need to progress. You need the best stuff on. You have to, otherwise you're just at such a huge disadvantage. But I've been thinking about it a lot, and I don't have a good way to fix it, because what I would like is more armor variety and more choices to be made. So, but the only way you can really do that, because with the system that is in place, is like having different sized front plate and back plate hitboxes depending what armor it's in, and that's like really unintuitive and just nasty.
Yeah.
I still think they should make the big armors class 4 soft, but like other than that, it's very difficult to differentiate between the armors without it being weird and like unintuitive. So I'm just not sure. I just don't know how to get what I want at like a middle ground. I'm not sure if it's possible. I don't know.
I'm sure something's possible, but it's the question of how much more work do they want to sink into this, because it's costing them resources no matter how they look at it. Yeah, I mean, it ultimately is a trade-off, just to reiterate what you said. And I'm actually kind of surprised by this poll that 50%.
It's crazy, yeah.
This is 5.4k votes, mind you. So it's not like, I know the Tarkov community is probably like 100k plus easily, even now in this period of the wipe. But still, like,
and maybe
in terms
not necessarily
of like,
playing, right? But like not actively, but involved in answering polls and posts.
For sure. So like for me, it's like a relative to like sample sizes from creators. This is like a pretty good one, and the fact that 50% says a good change is kind of like not what I expected. Also 41 said they just don't care. Is kind of not what I expected. Like one comment under this poll is like, I gave up on understanding the armor system entirely. I simply blame the key to himself whenever the enemy survives. Oh, that's a classic.
I think that 41% must be a mixture of people who, they just don't understand the system. They just play the game and they just like whatever, and people who are still, butthurt about Unheard Edition stuff, who just click the button.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that could be.
I think that
well.
there's a big bucket of people like that who there's still like quite a few people around. Like I still get it's a bit like when we had the goat cheating video.
Yes.
It took like 4 months for people to stop writing. People still play this cheater invested game KW on my YouTube. Like, and it took literally months and months and months for that to stop. And this is the thing, I've seen this before, so I understand like it'll be a runoff of people who actually do just. I'd rather these people just leave, right? Just go away, like it's fine.
Yeah.
So let's get on with it. But
sees Tarkov video, clicks on it. I have to let him know how much I hate this game.
It's so funny. And I still get those now for the Unheard thing, because we're still quite close to the time. People just being just like, streamers always going to come out to the game and forgiving BSG. BSG must pay for their sins. Typing GIF. So I think there's still enough people that are seeing Tarkov in their algorithm that see the poll and click the button. So I don't know. It's probably a mixture.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. The other one component I was thinking is like, there's probably a group of people that's like, I never took the time to understand the first armor system, so like I don't understand the difference. I didn't care then, I don't care now. You know what I mean? It's like I just can't be bothered.
Yeah. There's definitely that group of people in EFT for sure. And it's just like, well, we both wear the armor. I use the good guns, and then I just shoot, and then I hopefully will
Yeah.
kill you. You know, they just play, and there's nothing wrong with that actually.
Mhm.
You can very quickly, because of the amount of work other people put in, you could very quickly just look up like, okay, what's the best thing, and then just use it, and like not really know why. So you don't really need to know why, really, if you're just gonna play a game and press button, shoot heads. So yeah,
I mean, just to
but yeah,
comment on. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm surprised how small the number of people saying it was a bad changes.
Yes. I mean, yeah, this, I mean, mind you, this is from Aaron's community, so it's going to be
Hmm.
skewed to or whatever his community likes in general, which is true for like anyone's community. But I as well am surprised. I mean, I don't know. I would like to comment on the balancing aspect. Like, it is, you are trading off something. And I would say, in a general sense, since Tarkov doesn't do a lot to balance the gaps in progression and skill when you're playing against other players, more like more traditional live service
Hmm.
games, matchmaking or whatever. Um, Even like Rust, for example, kind of has a pseudo uh balancing through the means of progression, because it's like if you want to farm high end stuff, you have to go to high end places to farm it, at least a lot more
Yeah.
reliably. And even sometimes, you just can't get, like, I can't just stick in tier one areas and find AKs. It literally just can't. It's for like the few niche exceptions. So people are sort of like incentivized to like stay in their areas relative to where they are in progression, which Tarkov doesn't really have that, except for like
Yeah.
labs is probably like the one exception. Um, my point is it makes it to where it's a little bit more challenging, and BSG have explicitly said that they like that. They like the idea that you go into a raid and you never know what you're going to encounter. If it was and I kind of agreed to a certain extent. It's like it is kind of, it adds a certain element to it where you don't know that person that you hear running, is this Timbo on his first raid of his P.A.K.A. and his M9, or is it Giga Chad stomping through with his Blackjack SA58 Alton helmet on. You just kind of don't know. So I agree
Yep.
with them. I kind of like that. um and there's probably like a sweet spot or something, but regardless, how it ties into armor for me is that because they've kind of made the system more simplistic, and also like armor is more effective by a considerable margin in comparison, and the way the game mechanics work, it's now more reliant on ammo having high pin. Therefore there's more an emphasis on progression, and also because they've made ammo progression much more restrictive in recent updates, it's like it's all multiplying. So I totally can see the viewpoints of people who are like, this is a bad change. I have to like grind. So like, how am I ever going to compete against Giga Chad now when I run into him? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot the guy. Actually, saw a Friendly Guy clip. Damn, did I save that? I think I did. Just for funsies. I think I forgot to. Anyways, I saw a Friendly Guy clip where he shot a guy like 17 times, and I love Friendly Guy just because like his reactions on the stuff is just so funny to me. Like, I just think he has some of the greatest like uh entertainment related reactions.
Yeah, he's
I
good.
don't know the proper terminology to describe it, but it's just like, I guess like a common contrast would be like Dr. Disrespect. A lot of people like that character for like their sort of like reactions to stuff. For me, it's like Friendly Guy is that for me. But anyways, I think because they like effectively removed more levers. Like previously, you had different plate styles, which was like a lever. I mean, it's kind of hard with BSG because they want to keep things very similar as possible to real life representation, right? So, but essentially, they've like removed a lever, which was like this armor is everything's now the same style, right? So you can't like tweak an armor, and you know what I mean, to like balance it more. And you don't have a lot of levers otherwise. I mean, you got like weight, you got movement speed and ergo penalties. Because I'm trying to think of like what's some things you could do to maybe like make the system a bit more interesting, or like tweak things a bit, make things a bit more stretched out, or maybe a more, instead of like a vertical progression, maybe it's more of a horizontal progression, where kind of like in the old system where it was like you know um the Thor is basically the same as the Banshee, except it has a bit more. It has soft armor or something, or like level 3 soft armor. So I don't know. It's. I do feel like whatever the case may be, they probably should do something either to like ammo availability, or ideally, as you said, do something with the armors to make them a bit more, I don't know, interesting, I guess, or like just like, oh man, I would almost like if you gave the P.A.K.A. like a 2% move speed, which I know is probably like broken, but like just hear me out, it like actually just flat out increase your movement speed by 2%. Which makes no sense because if you didn't wear the P.A.K.A. it'd be faster. But like I said, just hear me out. Like, would that even be enough for someone to be like, you know what, maybe I'm not going to take this class 3 armor rig. Maybe I'm going to take the P.A.K.A. instead, because specifically for this task on customs where I got to grab the pocket watch, I'm just going to run in, go in there, get the key, run out. You know what I mean? Like, is there any, like, what if they had one that's like, oh, this armor has extra padding, so now you get like 5% recoil reduction. However, your turn rate is reduced by, you know what I mean? Like, just some little levers to make things a little bit more different than this armor is class 3 everywhere but costs this much. This armor's class 3 everywhere but costs this much. Which one are you going to choose? I guess the one that's cheaper. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. Like Pack would probably have to give you speed hacks before people would actually want to use it. This is kind of the issue. Like the couple of percentage just isn't going to do enough, I don't think. Yeah. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's fine. Maybe there's already enough armor variability. Some are rigged, some are not. Some have different. Some have neck, some don't. Some have arms, some don't. Some have groin, some don't. Right? You have to kind of pick and choose. And I'm sort of I'm sort of like steering the conversation a little bit now.
That's fine.
Away into something a bit more specific, but like one of the biggest conversations that I've had about, so in the backdrop of all this, I did a new armor tier list, and this, it brings together a lot of the concepts we talked about last time. I actually wasn't going to do one originally, but so many people asked me to do one, so I thought, okay, I'll do one, and it did make me sit down and really think about what I would want. Like, what do I want? Let's formalize this, right? Rather than just going through each one blind and then saying, okay, this. I kind of went through and like actually looked at it properly and like categorized them before and then went through them one by one just to make sure it was like actually coherent. And the biggest sort of battle that I've had with people about it, and I understand why, is about soft armor versus thorax protection at all costs. Because my tier list is basically thorax protection at all costs, pretty much. And the reason for that is because of this whole like soft armor under plate thing. I'm not going to go too crazy into that, right? Like if you missed last week's ScavTalk and you didn't watch my video on it either, then go and watch that first, because I'm not going to I don't want to talk about it again for half an hour. But the way that I see it, I would rather have a small chance to protect my thorax from the side extra against bullets that are common than protect like my neck, my groin, my arms, my buttocks from like with level 3 on its own.
Yes.
And I've had so many conversations with people about it, and it is a choice. I'm not necessarily right. Yeah. So there's like that thing on its own, right? And the basis behind this is because I am gearing up for PvP and fighting against people.
Yes.
I'm not giving up for fighting against scavs. Probably the most controversial thing. I mean, I didn't think this was that controversial. I thought it was slightly spicy, what I said halfway through the video, where I was basically like, you shouldn't be giving up to fighting against scavs because you should be fighting against scavs in a way that means that they don't kill you. So if you're gearing up to fight against scavs, like, you should be working on fighting against scavs first. Like, so, I never wear neck anymore. And I don't think I've died to, I mean, I'm probably going to eat my words next stream or something, but I can't remember the last time I died to a neck shot from scav. I cannot remember. And I had lots of conversations with people being like, it's easy for you to say, you've played the game a lot. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, I'm not necessarily even that good. I've it's like, people always go like, oh, you streamers with 12 hours a day and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, man, I play like 10 hours a week. Like, come on. Like, I've played the game for 4 years, in fairness. So like, I have all that knowledge about where the scavs are going to be, how to fight them, but like, I give the scavs respect, but I don't just like peek again. Like if a scav spots me and is shooting and I can't really see them, I don't just like stand there and wait. Like I go somewhere else and move around, and I do flank them, and I do respect them as enemies because they will kill you if you just let them. But like, there's ways of fighting that means they don't kill you, and then you don't need to take the neck protection. So when the dude then suddenly ambushes you from the side with M855A1, you don't die in 2 shots to the side. And that's my whole point about this thing, is that I would rather have like no soft armor in anywhere that's unnecessary, in my opinion, versus having a class 5 or 6 plate with level 3 underneath across my whole thorax. Like, the rest of my PMC is basically naked. But I've got, and people are like, I don't know, there's a lot of people who are just like, I'll never take an armor without neck. Like, how can you think that having class 3 under here is better than class 3 here and like on the groin and on the buttocks and on the arms? And I'm like, the problem is that what are you protecting against with the class 3? M855A1, M856A1, M855 is going to go straight through the class 3 on your neck and kill you anyway. Like, the only reason why the class 3 is good is because it's got class 5 over the top of it. I think I don't know. Like, that's just my opinion about it. And I'm not necessarily right. Depends on how you play and depends on what you want to do. But I just feel that if you want to play optimally, you're better off, like, working out how to kill players is a lot harder than working out how to kill scavs. Once you understand how to kill scavs, you almost never die to them. And so then you should be giving up for fighting against players, right? You use your plate, which isn't necessarily, I don't think it's a high skill cap thing necessarily to not die to scavs particularly. Like, yeah, you got to learn how to do it, and it does take time. And you have to learn all the maps, you have to learn where they spawn. So if you're unfamiliar with that map, then sure, take the Redo 10. If you don't know where the scavs are spawning, or you get surprised by scavs in areas, take the Redo 10. Take the Osprey protection. Like, that's fine. But once you've learned how to do that, then you should probably go for the more PvP central one, because it's the people that will kill you. It's the people that will kill you.
More.
So I didn't think it was going to be that controversial, but apparently that combination of things, me being like gear up purely for PvP and skill issue, it made some people quite mad.
Oh yeah, skill issue will do the trick for sure. Even I hate the skill issue, even though
I mean,
it's a bit of a meme.
I didn't say skill issue, obviously, but there's a lot of people obviously were memeing in the comments saying like, 21 minutes Giga skill issue with scavs.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing to comment on that's relevant is, I don't know the technical psychological term. Maybe you'll be able to help me out. But there's this like idea or concept where it's like maybe it's survivorship bias or whatever. But like I think the most easy application is helmets. You have people that like swear by helmets, right? Like I'm typically, I would probably put myself in that camp. And then you have people that will swear by the fact that helmets never save your life. And I guess if I play 100 raids and 2 out of the 100 raids, my ULAC stops an M80 from one-tapping me, I'll be like, yeah, helmets are worth it. But then if I actually do the math, it probably doesn't make sense. Like if you really crunch the numbers, maybe it does. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But my point is like, your experiences, and this is true in life, is like largely a major factor in like your beliefs, or what have you, how you interpret the world. So I could totally see where there's a case, and this definitely isn't the majority of, this crowd, but there's probably people who wore neck armor and have had like very good experiences with it. Therefore, it's like the thought of like removing all this extra side protection you know. And then I could also see like people who are like, I have to kill 15 scavs on customs. Why would I gear up for PvP when I have like absolute zero interest in ever, you know, doing anything? Like if I die to a player, I'm just gonna go back in with my P.A.K.A. and M9 pistol and shoot scavs again. You know, I could see that as
Yeah.
well. But in principle, like I agree that I would rather. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's so hard to say because I think, does the Thor have class 3 neck? I forget. I know it's got class
No.
3 soft. Okay. Yeah, see, I just think in principle, I would rather have the thorax be prioritized simply because the thorax, when it hits 0, you will die, whereas the stomach, when it hits 0, you won't die, or your arms. Like they're basically like their max HP is not the value you see there. It's technically some other number that I can't do the math on because math hard. You know, maybe it's like 300 on your stomach, for example. I don't know what it actually is, but because of all the, you know, it reaches 0 and then you start taking black damage if they continually shot, and then they have to like shoot you multiple times, which
Yeah.
for me was like the worst part about, I know I've already said this, but the worst part about the old arm system was scav. And you know, it probably is ultimately a skill issue, but still, it's like it's really hard to play peak at 100% of the time. You know what I mean? Like I had that one clip many moons ago where I was on Lighthouse fighting scavs near the helicopter. I think we showed it on one of the streams, or sorry, one of the ScavTalk episodes. Like I said, many moons ago, and it was like a slug from like a Taz hit my, I don't know, armpit or whatever. And then there was another one where like I was running away and I got armpitted and stuff. I was like, oh my god, this sucks so much. And like I could see how aspects like that, it's like you would want more soft armor to avoid that. But for me, since they've changed the system to be way
Yeah.
more coverage, I don't know. I feel like
Yeah, this is
there's
the thing.
definitely something to both sides, but in principle, for me, I would rather have protection against players on average, just because in general, dying kind of sucks, you know,
hmm
regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, maybe some of these people haven't necessarily played that much with the new armor system because I'm talking like if you were talking previously, it's like wasn't necessarily a skill issue before, as you say,
Hmm.
because even you were wearing the best armor, and then you just get lead slugged, and it's on the
Yeah.
side bit, and you die, and it's like okay, well
Yep.
that's great. And there's not really anything you can do about that. Whereas like now, if you do play with the new armor system and you put a class 5 plate in, you feel pretty invulnerable to scavs now, if I'm honest. I did have a really scary moment where a scav managed to shoot me. There's like I talked about the tiny little
Yes, the
sliver.
tiny
I
little
got
gap.
shot in the tiny little gap
Yeah.
by a scav because I was like, "Holy!" I just took a lot of thorax damage. My God! And all my armor was completely fine, and I
Wow.
didn't get hit in the neck. And so I think I got hit with 545T or something,
Oh my
and it was
god.
just doink, like right through the middle. And there's no because this is actually one very small downside. It's like another little miniature downside because that hole exists for all the armors with replaceable plates. But the ones where the soft follows the plate, there's no armor there at all, not even class 3. Whereas a
Oh,
thorax
that's
protection armor
true.
would have at least class 3 there. So,
That's true. That's funny.
you can be killed with a slug from the
Hmm.
chest wearing the AACPC in that
Yeah.
tiny little gap.
Oh my
Whereas it's
god.
less likely if you're wearing a Thor, for example. But I mean, it's such a small chance, the likelihood of that actually occurring. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's just interesting, It's just interesting the way different people see stuff. I think like one thing that makes me less scared about not having soft armor in like all these random places is you were talking about shooting in the stomach, but like leg meta and flesh damage in general has been nerfed so much since it used to be a thing because you used to take 50% extra damage for the stomach, and now you take 105% extra damage on the pass through. So they basically still have to take like nearly your entire 440's health worth through the stomach for you to die. Arms are now 49%, less than half, and legs is 70%. So it's harder than it used to be. And it's 30%. You basically have a 30% effective HP boost compared to how it used to be wherever you're shooting them. So you have to deal a lot of damage. A lot of damage to get people to die with leg meta now. It's quite a bit. So yeah, no, it's just interesting. But yeah, I think with the ammo change, the only thing is with the ammo change, it's just for people who are like kind of low level, it's hard to pick something that is actually going to do what they need to do, right? And we had some conversations with that on stream. People being like, "Oh well, you just have to hit a headshot." And I'm like, it's a very big change though compared to how it was, because before you could get a lucky shot on the side, you could flank them and kill them there, or just you could kill them from the front. They still probably have an advantage because they've got better armor, but those armor areas still exist. You'll get lucky. It's not like you're aiming for it, but you'll get lucky sometimes and kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, when you say like, "Oh, just hit a headshot," with your PST,
right,
and they're wearing a class 4 helmet, and then their plates like completely like this, or even just using leg meta with 5 to 7 bullets, which is more like 7 most of the time these days, and they probably kill you in 2 hits.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and they're probably better than you,
right?
As well. Like, so it's like 100%. It's like the stacking Tarkov thing of like they've progressed further, they're better at the game than you, they've got a better gun, they're wearing better armor. So it's like, and with the change in the armor system, as I said, I think it's good. It makes the game feel better, but for people who are under leveled, it's really, really, really rough. Really rough.
Yeah, just hit the headshot, bro, but make sure you don't hit his helmet or his Bastion 6 plate helmet. And also don't hit his condors, because there's like a 1 in 10% chance that it will completely absorb it and save his life. And also try not to hit his shattered mask, which you can't do because he's got that on, or what is it called? The ballistic
the CQCM, mask? Which is like class 4 or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, because like someone, which I guess we'll just transition into, because I went and picked some of the comments I didn't see any on the Spotify, but I went and picked some of the comments that I saw on our YouTube from the last episode, because we basically talked about this, but we were fresh off it. We didn't really have any, experience with it. It was pretty much brand new to everyone. So let's see if I increase the size a bit so I can read this a bit better. Yeah, that should do it. Yes, I'm not gonna like read any usernames, because I did include various takes. So I think it's just kind of interesting to see everyone's perspective, but don't want to put anyone off from commenting in the future, and or please don't harass people. Please, I'm begging you. Okay, so first one, these armor changes should be done a long time ago. If you progress through the game, you should unlock the gear that makes your character more stronger. You're excited to use it, and you can actually rely on your gear instead of everything being random. What's the point of progression then? Remove randomness equals more skilled player wins. This is bad for you all that are complaining, question mark. People say that chads want to make the game easier for themselves, but no, plebs just want the game to be random so they can accidentally succeed. Good players just want to make good players want the game to make sense and be fair. And also, more time to kill equals more time actually fighting equals more fun. All right, hot take alert. So, breaking this down, I think like this is a little bit of a gamery take, to say that. But I get, in spirit, I guess I get what they're saying. It's just the way they're saying it is not, I don't know, very good. Because like, yes, like there's nothing inherently wrong. Like the game doesn't have to be, any game really doesn't have to be like 100% skill testing all the time. Like variance adds spice to it, interest, and as we talked about many moons ago, that from Ben Brode's Marvel Snaps GDC, talking about randomness and RNG, there's like different types of RNG, and like they found that some feel better than the others, like namely the one where it's like, I play this card, like I think in Magic the Gathering, it's like lightning, cast lightning, it does like 5 to 11 damage, and it's like very, what could happen, I don't know. Whereas like, in Marvel Snap, it's like location reveals, it's Mojo World, and it's like, oh, how am I going to play around this with my deck? It's not necessarily like it's high, like it's still variance, but I guess the way it plays out, like there's a certain in tying environment, there's like a feeling to all this stuff. It's like a very psychological thing, which is interesting. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Not really much more to say about that for me, but I thought I included because it's a spicy
Yeah.
one.
I think like lots of people talking about skill
Hmm.
and that's part of it, right? But it's just like what makes you win a fight in Tarkov? Like some luck, some skill, and some progression, which skews the odds.
Yes.
I think that's the thing. People always talk about like, oh, this update, like, oh, it favors skilled players. I'm just like, probably yes, because there's less variance in general. So if you are better than the other person and
Hmm.
you're wearing identical gear, you'll probably win more often. That's true. But there's also it's more to it than that. It's not two dimensional or one dimensional.
Yeah.
It's there's more factors to this, right? And
Yeah.
it also favors progression. So somebody who's skilled will lose to somebody who is worse skilled who has better gear more often now in this update than they would have before, probably. To a point. That's not necessarily strictly true because if somebody hits a headshot like an aimbot every single time, then it doesn't matter what the
Yep.
the game is like. Maybe. It's again, it depends on gear as well because that's true. If you're using PST and they've got a CQCM on, then they're just going to kill you even if you hit 3 headshots. You're just not going to go through and then they die. So it's like it's a combination of these things, right? And we just have to look at each of these metrics. It's not just like, oh, this armor update is the skill update, and now if you die, it's your fault. Like GG's get good skill issue, right? It's not quite as cut and dried as that, right? It's like the progression matters more now, and that also has its own
Yes.
effect. It means that people who play more are more favored, and it doesn't necessarily feel as fair to newer people. So like, it's just I think it's just bear in mind it's not really a competition about like, oh, who's better now. Now I'm going to be able to win, et cetera, et cetera. It's like there's a whole grid of different types of people that play Tarkov
Yes.
for different reasons. Some people are very good but don't have much time. Some people are very good and also have a lot of time. Some people are bad, don't have much time. Some people are terrible and have loads of time to play the game. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a big sort of cross section of different people, and got to think about how that all interacts rather than just being like, oh, now I can't just die randomly to somebody because of armpit. Um, so now it's pure skill now. Like that's just not true.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of my reasoning behind some sort of like matchmaking balancing S system, because it's like, is it really skill testing when I am level 1 and I have my P.A.K.A. and M9 versus Giga Chad who's level 52 with like all the best gear decked out? He just has to shoot me twice anywhere in my surface area of my chest, whereas I have to hit like him once in the head, assuming I don't hit any of the multiple layers of protection he has. And I'm not too far away where the pin drops off. And you know what I mean? It's like so much more skill testing on the people on the lower end of the percussion system, which is like, is that really gonna add to the experience of the game? I don't. There's so many questions there because it's like, what is BSG trying to achieve? Anyways, let me keep going because there's
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff in here that some
Okay.
of the stuff touches on. So, I'll just go down the list. My main concern with this is that armor is going to amplify run and gun gameplay. I find that in this game, if you want to take risks, you should be punished if you get caught, which I think is fair. I kind of feel similarly. Like, I think of what Tarkov's trying to achieve in terms of experience. I do feel that even though I would probably place myself in this category in general, and I think that's just mainly like an optimization play style preference of like running and gunning, it just feels a bit more optimal in general. It's maybe like a netcode exploit, but regardless, um, yeah, I if it wants to be more of a tactical shooter, then certain mechanics and changes are going to pivot it towards or away from that, which I do feel
Yeah.
in some sense, maybe indirectly and not inherently, that this would pivot it a bit more away towards a run and gun style, just because you're more tanky in general. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. So I think the armor change was good. This is another comment in terms of consistency and skill. But I don't think the idea that I can't compete with just trader ammo. I only have so much time to play. I want to get to the level 42 in coast, not do a bunch of requests, and constantly craft ammo so just go into raid, which pretty much reiterates what you and I's concerns were with the ammo progression. How does this look on the other side? So you've done this change. How's it look now with the ammo? Little one, with the new coverage of plates, it's now worth it again to bring an extra plate in a raid, especially in an armored rigged with a 2x, 2x2. They need to adjust the traders and crafts to make high tier plates harder to get or make Ragman reset time less often. Higher time to kill, help everyone all around, new players, old players, skilled players are hitting headshots already, and it's a beat point, which I think is a very excellent point to bring up, is that the true skilled players, which kind of ties into what I was saying earlier, but just to use that scenario again, where Timmy, Timbo is level 1 with his pack at M9, and he's going up against Giga Chad with, he's fully decked out, right? And technically speaking, Giga Chad only has to shoot Timbo twice in the thorax with his M61s in his foul to kill him. But a really, a top-notch, top-tier player who's always on their A game would be going for the headshot, because it's they don't want to risk it. That's the most the highest peak of skill. There's very few circumstances where it may be more optimal to go for a thorax shot. There's merit to that, but there's so many other factors, who knows the other's position, etc. Who's got the drop on someone, but in general, I think that's a fair reminder, is the good players are going to be good players regardless of what you do to the system.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
The reworked armor system was interesting in that it made low tier armor very viable in any circumstance. Because of the legacy health system and the entire thorax being considered a vital area, armor plates don't actually give you the protection the plates are intended to give. So their solution is to make plate hitboxes so big that we're essentially back to the old pre-work system, where you're arguably even tankier than ever against non-meta ammo.
That's an important one. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Actually, that's interesting. That's kind of true. We've got the benefits of the plate system, because the old system kind of sucked. We've talked about this before. You wear armor, you get shot in the arm, your whole armor health pool goes down. Now, if you get shot in the chest, it's worse. So we've moved away from that. We now have separate hitboxes, which is good. We have the ability to replace plates, which is cool. Now the armor actually protects you as well, which is good. So we have very much gone back to how it used to be in terms of protection, for the most part. It's not entirely, but for the most part, it's similar. Obviously, there's quirks, right? The quirks that I talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about before, the whole plate under the thorax, under the front armor, as opposed to plate and soft. Are they connected, or are they thorax and back? Those, other than those quirks, it's sort of similar to how it used to be.
Yep.
And we've got some changes to the way that limbs penetrate, and multi-layered armor and that kind of thing. So it is better. It's probably it's we had the first system, and then we had the second system, and now we've kind of got the best of both. I think it's probably in the best state that it's been in. And despite the sort of controversial nature around how this has changed and made everyone really tanky, that is also correct in saying that we're as tanky as we've ever been. Because in the old system, you just have class 5 on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have this class 5 plus this class 3, and this is probably a good time as well. Are there any more comments? Do you want to go through other stuff first before? Okay, well, I'll let you. I'll just say this little piece, and then I'll let you carry on. But I'll give you a little sneak preview for the next little piece. I wanted to talk a bit about ammo after this. And I found out something very surprising. So imagine to yourself that you're using the 338 Lapua AXMC.
Okay.
So that was quite renowned for its 47 pen. And it's 100 and something damage, right? So a lot of people know instinctively what 47 pen means, because it was the same pen as BP. Mm-hmm. BP was kind of the benchmark of good ammo for most things. 47 pen has basically a 55% chance to go through class 5. And so BP would kill you in 2 hits half of the time. AXMC had 47 pen as well. I think it's 47. It's either 46 or 47. I can't remember. But it's got 122 damage. So that would hit your class 5 armor. And if it goes through, you die, right? Because the damage reduction isn't enough to take it down to 85. Something that I only realized with chat yesterday when we were just talking through different things. We were putting different stuff into the calculator. If you get hit with class 5 plate on now, with class 3 soft armor underneath, it literally cannot kill you.
What?
which is kind of nuts. And I have the calculation up because it is quite interesting. And then I'll let you read out the rest of the comments after this. But where is it? Oh yeah, I do have it up here. So what happens is, 47 damage and 120. Sorry, 47 pen and 122 damage with 83% armor damage percentage. So it's big. It's a big boy. If you shoot a GAC plate, a class 5 GAC plate, you have a 55% chance to go through.
Right.
And it mitigates quite a lot of the damage because it's class 5 and it's in the realm in which class 5 mitigates stuff. So it ends up leaving the class 5 with 92 damage and 35 pen.
Oh, wow.
It then goes to go through the class 3 because the rule of thumb previously, right? So you're going to pretty much go through an armor if your pen is 10 times the armor class. So against class 3, it needs to be 30. It needs to be 30 to. I always like it when people ask if it's live. I find it quite funny. Can you imagine if we recorded this and then just like showed it on Twitch? I can't imagine myself doing that. Anyway, I just find it funny. Anyway, so against class 3, if you have 30 pen, you're pretty much guaranteed to go through, but you'll be in the damage mitigation regime, if that makes sense. So 30 pen is probably got, I don't know what the pen chance is, like 90% or something, maybe 87 or 90%.
Yeah, it's pretty
against
high.
Class 3 armor, something like that. Like 3 times the pen is usually about 90% to go through. But in order to avoid damage mitigation on a bullet, you need to be not 10 times the armor class. You need it to be 10 times the armor class plus another 10. So to not get any damage mitigation at all against class 3, it needs to be 3 times 10, 30 plus 10 is 40. So it needs to be 40 pen. There's like a 10 pen
Yes, I got you. I'm tracking.
extra that you need before you remove that. So this thing, going back to our XMC FMJ bullet, this comes through with 35 pen.
Right, which is half.
Right in the middle. That's half. Yeah. It's half where you need to be. And 92 damage. That then goes through the soft armor with a 96% chance, almost certainly goes through. But the penetrated damage goes down to 77.4, and the pen goes down, yes, again, to 29.8. So because even though it automatically goes through the class 3, because it's in the reduction regime, because it's under 40 when it goes through the plate, it gets reduced by a further 15 and cannot kill you anymore. It cannot deal 85 damage.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy. And I only realized this the other day because we were talking about it. We were just like spitballing stuff and putting things in. And somebody went to do the calculator on Tarkov Gunsmith and was like, it can't kill you. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. That's crazy. It's got 122 damage. What are you talking about? But it's because the damage mitigation is like percentage. So the GAC plate takes off 30 damage because it's a huge percentage of the damage that gets removed. And then I looked at it for 2 seconds and was like, oh man. But if you're wearing class 2 instead, class 2 needs 25 pen or above. Sorry, it needs so 20 pen guarantees goes through class 2, and above 30 you don't get any damage mitigation anymore. Well, this still comes through at 35. It's above the 30 threshold, so there's no damage mitigation at all, and you die. So if you're wearing a Karund, you could be one-tapped with the XMC.
Right. If
you're wearing a Thor, you can't.
And this just to clarify, this is true in the old the pre-armor rework system as well. Versus this latest one.
Do you mean before patch 14?
No,
because you couldn't have multi-layer before. But yeah, this was still true in patch 14.
Yes.
But because the plate was so little, most of the time it would just go into class 3 or
sense.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And so you die a lot of the time anyway because the plate just never gets shot at. But it matters now because you pretty much can't get through to the thorax without going through plate, at the very least. But yeah, if you have, like, this is where it's interesting, right? So wearing the AACPC, you cannot be one, except for that tiny sliver on the front, which in fairness, you'll die with any armor on, for this bullet in particular. You'll die with any armor on. But except for that tiny little sliver, you can't be killed by FMJ in one shot. It's out of the question. If you're wearing a Osprey protection and they hit you under the arm, 50% of the time it'll go through the class 5 plate and there's nothing else there and you die. And that's why I like these armors. Same with the Redoute M, same with the Zabralo, same with the NFM Thor, same with the Redoute T5. All of these huge armors with all the protection arms, whatever, If you get shot in that sweet spot by the wrong thing, you can instantly die. If I get shot in the groin by an XMC bullet, I'm not going to die in one shot. So I don't, I can heal. I can CMS my stomach. I can use painkillers.
Yeah.
I can run on
Yep.
broken legs. I can.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like this is the most cut and dried case of it. And yeah, you have to be shot under the arm, but it's about chances and probability. I think at the end of the video, I did there's a big grid at the end. If you just skip to because I know you've got it up on the screen. If you skip right to the end, there's like a grid. You can just freeze it. It's near the end. It's like sort of in the last section. This one, yeah. This is that what I'm talking about. And this is the thing. Some cases it matters a lot, and some cases it doesn't matter at all. For M855A1, if you've got class 3 soft armor or class 2 soft armor, it doesn't really make that much difference. But if you've only got class 5 on and you get shot under the arm, the fourth shot you'll definitely die. With any soft armor, that won't necessarily happen. And same thing with M62, you're more likely to survive. CBJ actually really favors class 3 armor. Class 2 isn't enough to stop it going through, but class 3 is a little bit. And yeah, these are all fringe percentages. And this was kind of the overwhelming take for the video that I had, which was, don't worry about it too much. If you want to wear a Courant, it's going to save you 10 times more than it used to. So all the armors used to be a 2 out of 10 to a 4 out of 10. And now all the armors are a 7 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. So even picking the crappiest thing, right? You pick the hex grid now, and you put a front plate in it and a back plate in it. You're going to be Gucci compared to the way it used to be, wearing a Zabralo with all the stuff. It's way better. The worst armor is way better than the best armor was before. So yeah. Anyway, onto the comments unless you've got your own.
I mean take. it's very good. Drawing back to the FMJ bullet, it's the perfect set of parameters to get this result. It's you got the class 3 or class 5 plate with the class 3 armor, and the bullet pin has to be 47 or 45. It has to be right in the sweet spot. And then because of the damage reduction, and when it goes, it's the perfect scenario, which is
it waterfalls into the next bucket where it's perfectly between 30 and 40, where it then takes another set of damage reduction. And that's my point, right? The class 3 is only valuable against players because it's behind something better. You get this multi-layer thing, but if you're not, if the pen is too high or the underneath armor is too low, then it doesn't end up matching up. It doesn't. You need to step. It needs to stepping stone down. Otherwise, it doesn't help. But when you're using class 5 and class 3, a lot of the bullets are in that regime. M855A1, M62, CPJ, hybrid, and then against things like M856A1, it makes you godly.
You know what might be a fun exercise? This is the last thing, and then we'll move on. Is you running some calculations with class 4 soft armor underneath at a class 5 plate? What would that? How serious?
Theoretically, what would that do?
Yeah, theoretically, how serious of a change would that? Would it really matter? What are the outcomes of this particular simulation?
That's quite interesting. I mean, we could just do it quickly now because it's easy enough to do in the Tarkov Gunsmith. Xerxes made it really flexible, so you can just change stuff. So you can parameterize it with. You could just change things. So you could parameterize it with
that's cool.
The AACPC soft armor aramid, but you could just tick the armor class up to 4.
That's really nice. Yeah.
So M855A1 it's 30% chance on shot 4, 75% chance cumulative on shot 5, and then they're dead on shot 6. If you tick that up to, so it's most likely a 5th shot. If you tick that up to class 4 instead and do multi-shot again, you are not killing them until shot number 6.
It's an extra bullet.
So it's definitely an extra. It's maybe 2 bullets, definitely 1 bullet. So it's big. It's big, but yeah, it just gives you that extra level of protection because now if you do a single shot, the pen. So an M855A1 goes through. It only has 30% chance to go through in the first place. It goes through. It ends up with 31 pen. You see, and 31 pen is just not very likely to go through the class 4 soft. So that's actually defending you.
What about
a while?
M62 just for funsies, or no M85561? I changed my mind.
56A1. I mean, that's going to really struggle. I think.
Yeah, so, I want to see what that.
Because 56A1 is it's 40% for a 7 shot, and
Mm-hmm.
100% for an 8-shot. That's like the
Mm-hmm.
regular armor. So it's like
Class 5 on
7-shot,
top,
8-shot
class
ish,
3
and
underneath.
a 3. Yeah. If you go up to class 4, it's like 20% of an 8-shot and 100%
Mm.
of a 9-shot.
Mm. So another
So it's
extra
again, it's
bullet.
another extra bullet. It's one more bullet.
That's
Yeah.
actually interesting because, and just to kind of play with this thought a bit more, if they did take like the Zabralo, some of these like high end armors that are, I say high end, but basically these really heavy armors that almost no one uses because what they offer doesn't outweigh what they weigh because
Yeah.
of how much heavy and the penalties they have, right?
Hmm.
So if they, in theory, had class 4 soft, in these scenarios we're talking about where you're getting directly shot in the plate, it's basically about an extra one, maybe 2 bullets, which isn't a lot.
Yeah.
However, if they did miss the plate entirely and hit the soft, hitting class 4 soft on like 56A1, what is that, like a 50-50 to pin?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of intriguing. Like, to be able to stop 56A1 through aramid, essentially, like, I don't know,
Hmm.
that might be just enough of a change to tick some of these over where it's like, maybe I'm willing to take the downside of being extra slow because I want to finish this guide quest, or
Yeah.
whatever you're trying to do. I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Because like nobody's using those things. There's not enough advantage to use them. I don't think
Yeah.
really. So and that's interesting to do the calculation because I don't actually think that's that broken.
No, it
You take
seems.
one more bullet for the downside of like 10% move speed and the negative ergo and all the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, in this very limited set, it seems okay. At least, I don't know. I'd be curious
It,
what other people
it
think.
almost seems not enough, to be honest, in my opinion. Like one
Yeah.
extra M856A1, like when you're subject to that, it's out of an M4, right? So the one extra
Hmm.
bullet is like they
How
held
much
down
is
the
that really
button
gonna
for like
matter?
5
Right.
milliseconds longer than they did before. It's like it almost makes no difference. You can just do it actually and not worry.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's even going to have any effect on the balance at all. Really, it's like, yeah, it's almost not enough to take it. I would say the only other thing that I would say about like this thing before we move on is that I've done a lot of simulations with class 5 armor because it's very
Hmm.
common.
Yep.
But I would say that because they've added some of these like class 6s as well, there's a lot of
Hmm.
people using class 6 now. And you are tanky as hell. It is crazy. I shot some guy at point blank with 7.62 BT, which is 55 pen,
Yep.
and well, he was tanking like a beast, and the whole chat was just like, "Holy moly, what is that guy on?" And then we looked in, and he's wearing a Cult Termite class 6 plate. We're like, "Oh, I see. Okay, yeah," because like your initial chance of going through
It's like 1 in 3.
with BT
Yeah.
is like, yeah, it's like 37%.
Hmm.
So even if you just hit them only in the thorax, you only have a 25% chance to kill them on the second shot, and it's like 80% on shot 3. So if you're unlucky, 1 in 5 times, it's like 4 hits out of an SVD to the chest directly
Yep.
to kill them with the class 3 behind, which is like kind of crazy. I wonder actually if that makes any difference. If you go class 2, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't actually make much difference because it doesn't really make much difference actually
Hmm.
whether you've got that extra layer because the pen is so high when it comes out the other side. And this is why it's important, right? There's pen of 55, so when it comes out the other side, it's 42 pen. So there's no mitigation; it just goes straight through.
Oh my god. Now I'm gonna add another layer. So in this scenario you're talking about, if we did apply this class 4 underneath, that would probably make him even tankier. But because it is follows a similar pattern of the previous one, where we're going from class 5 plate to class 3 soft, 2 armor classes down.
Mm.
Whereas this, we're going from class 6 plate to class 4 soft, 2 classes down. Would it also like make them like even like how much more drastic of a change? I wonder.
It doesn't seem to make
Really,
any difference at all. I'm quite surprised.
with the BT you're testing, yeah,
Yeah, it makes like
yeah.
no difference moving to
Hmm.
class 4 armor. I'm
Interesting.
quite intrigued. I'm quite intrigued by that. I'd have to like look into it
Yeah.
in even more detail to understand exactly why. But I think it's maybe because of the damage. I think the damage is so
Hmm.
high on this thing that it really shortens down the time to kill. I think the blunt damage, because again, it's like blunt damage is quite high as well.
Hmm.
So all you need most of the time, like it doesn't. I'm not sure if it says. what the blunt damage is. Let's just go on the single shot for a sec. So yeah, the blunt damage is it's like it's only 6 or something. The blunt damage actually doesn't work on Tarkov Gunsmith. It doesn't propagate through. I think it's even less than to go and actually test it. But as soon as it goes through, you just die so fast. I think that's like part of the issue. And the mitigation isn't necessarily well. Yeah, there's no real mitigation there. So well, I guess there should be some. Yeah, there should definitely be some. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just the damage is really high. As soon as the class 6 fails, you just die. It's kind of crazy.
No, maybe a project for a future YouTube video, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
Intense, wink,
prove
wink.
to BSG that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
You have to go up to like class 5 Aramid before it even starts to really have a proper effect. Amazingly.
Which would be kind of insane. Like you could just wear no plates, just the Aramid at that point. I feel like that'd be insane. Okay, moving on. Let me finish up these comments here. So we got a few more. This one's waiting to play the wipe again, but theoretically, I agree with Church. I'd much rather have a chance to react and actually have a gunfight than just to die to an armpit shot. Which, yes, I brought this one up because I think I wanted to point out that they theoretically agreed, which I think is an important, like we've talked about. We're really asking, not is this better for the game? How does this feel? Because that's like, as they said, in theory, I agree with this change. I would rather have a chance to react than die to a random shot. But in practice, how does it feel? So it's a very like perceptive thing, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there. I think the armor change is incredibly lazy and badly thought out. It's the old system, but worse in a lot of ways. It's back to grinding for good ammo and being able to crap on Timmies regardless of skill gap. It's back to being a MMO RPG. I don't think making good armor more rare fixes it. It just means those willing to grind will have an even bigger advantage over everyone else. If high pin ammo should be a lot more common and neutral to neutralize the advantage of high class armor, but then people will complain armor isn't effective as it should be, and we're in an endless balancing the rarity of good armor and ammo. It becomes a vicious, never-ending cycle. BSG needs to decide if they want to make a tactical shooter emphasis on realism or an MMO RPG and nail the balancing. They could have increased some of the plate sizes percentage, just making the gap smaller, making soft armor protect armpit. Could have had vital zones, like many have suggested, where you only do full damage if you're hit, where the plates are protecting, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, a lot there. I think the only thing I really want to call out is that I agree. I do. I don't want to like, harbor too much on this sentiment, but I can't help but feel like this is a sort of one of those changes that feels like I don't know. Maybe it's hard to say, but I just have some skepticism or like some distrust where it's kind of like, what can I do to make Tarkov players happy? Because backlash, I know I'll buff armor, or I'll make the armor to what they like it. And I don't know. I feel like a bit of that maybe is the case. It's I can never be certain, but in general, yeah, it's like I don't know. It's tough because Tarkov's like trying to do too many, like, I don't want to say too many things, but they want to like do a lot of things. Like Nikita's always kind of like talked about how much he likes this big MMO RPG factors, and there is clear RPG elements, but like over the time, the course has been, the game's been in beta. Like we've seen a lot of those get diminished, like skills. I mean, they've like practically continually have been diminished, like their emphasis and impact. So I don't know. It's, yeah. I don't really have much more to say than that, honestly.
Yeah. It's like, are they going to put in an advanced health system? Probably not. I feel like this is, I don't know. I feel like this is probably okay-ish. Like, if they work on ammo balance now, then I think it might be all right. Like, they just need to bring back some of the good ammo with downsides, like, back a little bit. Like, I'm not necessarily calling for the return of the Mosin meta, but, that's sort of what we're talking about, The Mosin is a good example because it gets good ammo, but it's a bolty. So you can kill somebody with it, but you have to do it in a certain way. Or pick your moment, right? It's not like you're in a battle when you both got full auto weapons. It's asymmetric, right? Like you've not both like, oh, I've got a 9mm SMG and you've got a black MDR. It's like it's less of a battle like that, and it's like, okay, I have one shot, and I can kill you, but I have to get my one shot off, and I got to play accordingly as well. So I can skirt around, I can like hide myself, like use cover, whatever, like get into position, and then take my shot. And it doesn't necessarily mean that when I miss that shot, it doesn't necessarily mean that I die if I've been tactical. And I think that's always the thing that with Tarkov is that people always talk about skill,
Mm-hmm.
but like I'm not particularly skilled at shooting. But like a
Mm-hmm.
big portion of Tarkov is like being in the right place at the right time and like a sort of game sense. And I
Yeah.
think that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of strategy type people like Tarkov is because you can
Mm-hmm.
use that sort of game sense to get an upper hand over people who are mechanically superior to you. Like I often feel that like most people that I encounter in the game probably are better, like they probably better than me in aim labs, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do fine because I know the maps and I know where people spawn and I hear the scav and I hear the scav shot and I know that it's over there and I think, okay, we'll do this flank. I did a beautiful flank yesterday on
Oh yeah.
Lighthouse where I was using a loud SVD. It was just like proper fun gaming because you can almost like bait people because like if
Yeah.
you're very aware that you're using it like if you just go into the game and play like normal, you'll just
Mhm.
die. But if you're very aware, and because I've done this in a previous wipe with the loud SKS with BP, and if you're like very cognizant of like the sounds you make, how that appears, and like you can get a good enough read
Yes.
on where people are, then it can be quite interesting. So I've been playing Lighthouse because I've been doing assessment, just sort of it's a good map to do SVD on and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And I was up by, there's basically the path past the chalets that you just goes between Southern Road and the village. It's like up on the mountains. It's the way that you go between Upper Chalet. You go out of that little wooden door and you go along the mountainous path next to the lower chalet and then sort of out the other side. You're like up on this high ground the whole time. Well,
Okay.
I was coming from the village and I like moved through and I heard some commotion and heard some shots. And I spied somebody over on the hillside on like the sort of stupid rock kind of area.
Okay.
And there was somebody around chalet, not like they weren't necessarily in chalet itself. And I went quite aggressively towards them to try and push a fight because I got a loud SVD, so it's fine. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna face plant into you. But then I took some shots from the guy on the hillside actually, and I was like, okay, this is like I'm not gonna win this. I'm gonna play against loud M4 man who's either doesn't know what he's doing or is just like actually someone who's like super skilled is just messing about. And so instead I like ran back up the hill, SJ6 went all the way through Upper Chalet, like pretty much all the way down to nearly to Southern Road, up to like the little sort of pinnacle rock bit up by Southern Road, down the other side, right round, kind of past the entrance to Lightkeeper's like island, and then along the beach, and found one of them up on top of on one of the rocks, saw them, shot at him, didn't kill him, threw a nade, ended up running around, and it was great. Like they're like catching them out of position.
Mhm.
Um, Killed the guy with the bolt action, and I was like, I don't know where the other guy is. Like I could have sworn they were together. They must have been together because otherwise M4 guy would have died to the bolty guy. Or they would have shot him or something. Like it just didn't make any sense. They must be a duo. And I couldn't find him, so I looted the first guy. And came out of the raid, and I chucked 2 grenades. One of them was like a complete mess, and the second one was just trying to make him move. And I had 2 kills. I had the kill from the first guy with question mark, and then there's bolty guy. So I must have killed his duo with the nade by accident,
Mm.
not realized. But it was great because I was like, I'm not going to win this fight straight up. I've got a red dot for one. Right? I'm not
Oh
shooting from
wow.
chalet to like sniper rock. I didn't bother taking LPVO because I was like, I'm just going to push people's faces in chalets. But like,
Mhm.
there ended up in this really awkward fight. So I'm like, right, let's go all the way around the outside. And like, those guys probably better than me. And it just ended up working out like partly luck with the grenade. But even still, I caught them off guard because they still were looking at chalet. But I've like run
Yes.
around the entire map, and I'm like now behind you, kind of thing. It's like pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I love
So
stuff like that. That's kind of like how I like to play. I like to do the really long flanks, like
hmm.
and it's great too that you were able to utilize. I know that my gun's loud and I know that these people more than likely are able to hear the gunshot, assuming they're not
Hmm.
death or something. So it's like now I'm going to use that knowledge and assume some things and make a strategic play off of it. Like and I think that is like a skill. Like that is something to be learned and practiced and mastered ultimately.
Yeah, it's cool.
Good on you.
Cool.
Okay, so I think that's like pretty much all the stuff I saw.
All the comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least the ones that I picked out. But
All right. Yeah, there's like the last little bit about the armor stuff. I did want to just like brainstorm because I hadn't really gone through this. I was like, oh, maybe we'll just kind of do it live. Like brainstorm, what's actually good now? Because that's partly why I was using the SVD because I was sort of starting to test that out, being like, okay, well, BT is good in the new
BT's
regime,
good.
right? That will definitely kill you. And the other one that I've been using is the spear with hybrid because hybrid is also punchy. That's in the 47 crew as well. That's 72 damage and 47 pen. The reason why I like that one is it deals with class 5 quite easily. Class 6 is I should run the sim actually and see what it does with class 6. Because yeah, a lot of people are running this cult termite armor because now it's like a SAS drive, I think.
Yeah, something
And you
like
can
that.
get this front and you can get this plate. And it's kind of nuts actually.
Yeah,
And
SAS
it's really quite good.
drives have like gone up in value so much this wipe.
Yeah, they're like 100k or something. So yeah, it's like a 60% chance to kill on shot 5 with hybrid through the double layers. It's still, it's quite a lot. It is quite a lot. I think you're actually better off against class 6. You might actually be better off with M6 too. It's a 100% chance to kill the one shot 5, and that's just purely an armor damage difference. Like M62 has less pen but more armor damage, so beats through the plate quicker.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
if you aren't gonna pen, you're better off have the higher armor damage. Because even though it's only 44 pen, it's got 75% armor damage percentage, whereas hybrid has got 47 pen and then 58% armor damage percentage. And the two things are hand in hand, but the 3 extra pen doesn't make up for the loss of what even is that 27% on armor damage percent. It's like nearly a third lower, but only 3 pen higher. So it doesn't actually work out. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. So against class 6 plates, you're actually better off with M6 too. So I guess M62 is still kind of all right. But yeah, those are the two that I've really been using because you can easily buy both of them from the trader.
Yeah.
Because like one thing that's like dramatically changed actually, I would say about the spear is that lots of people are using the spear. You get them from marked rooms, but now because they're rare, when people pick them up, they take them back to their stash and they resell them on the flea. So the price of spears come down a lot. It used to be what 400, 500k, and now you can pick them up for like 200 now.
That's pretty decent.
A lot better. It's become a lot more in line. So I've used the spear quite a bit, which is pretty cool. But like, you look down the list of the other stuff, and it's like the Pure Magnum AP, it's fighting raid only. M993, it's fighting raid only. BS, it's fighting raid only. M61, you can technically get access to, but you have to complete trophies, which is Peacekeeper's task. You have to get to level 55, and then you have to hand in 20 bear dog tags and 20 PMC dog tags over level 50. So it's quite, it's an end game kind of quest. I don't know whether I'd need to check if I can actually do that yet. I'm not level 55, but maybe see if I could do that one because M61 is very good. Then you've got a Golnek, which is fighting raid only. You can do SMB. We talked about this. I didn't actually realize you could still craft SMB, but you need to complete Tarkov Shooter 7. So not necessarily that hard. Once they dropped it from the Lightkeeper quest, though, I just completely stopped doing that quest line. So I'm like on Tarkov Shooter. I did finish Tarkov Shooter 4, and I'm on Tarkov Shooter 5 now. And I just couldn't be bothered because it's like you have to kill scavs at night with a bolt action. I just can't be asked. Like it's not for anything, so whatever. Then it's got MAIAP, fighting raid only, SSAAP, fighting raid only. Then you have 762, 54 BT, which is obviously very good. BS is now fighting raid only for 545. I think BP for the VSS. Oh no, that's also fighting raid only. You can't do that either.
Yeah.
APSX is craftable technically, but you need to complete the guide for that. And the MP7 is good. Don't get me wrong. It's a good gun. I mean, it's low damage, so it's really only for fighting players. You don't really want to be fighting like bosses with that, which is sort of limiting. But an M905, which you can't craft anymore. The Blackout AP for the MCX, you technically can get, but you have to complete the cleaner first, which is even worse. This is like 40 scavs on reserve. So scav raiders on reserve.
Yeah.
Which is just painful. To find 40 raiders on reserve is just really annoying.
I was going to think about grinding that out at one point, but I never did.
And you need to do the guide first before you do that.
Yeah.
So the guide and then that one. And then I guess then you're down into, now we're into 48 pen. SP6, say hybrid, BP, the Pure Magnum FMJ, PS12B for the Ash. Like we're in that regime. So there's not actually that many bullets that deal with class 6 really all that well. It's quite a limited number. And it depends on exactly which quest you've got and what you want to run. Which is why I feel that the spear, the Black MDR with M62 and the SVD kind of it, and unless you kill Tagilla and he's got mags full of a Golnik. But again, it's like low damage, so
Yeah,
people
and
don't
kind
really
of
like a
like
Golnik.
mid to low rate of fire was like 650 typically.
Yeah, like you can put it in the what's it called? The new one? Is it the AK-12? What's the new one called?
Yes.
Yeah, it's AK-12. That's 700, so that's a
You're
bit
right.
better. But yeah, it's like not
Right.
it's not amazing. For 37 damage, you know, if you're not hitting them accurately in the chest. The only
Mhm.
thing that I would say is that you now need like 50 plus pen to go to pen through the arm. And I actually don't know what the calculation is for that, like how much damage you lose.
To
So
pin through the arm? Oh, to
yeah,
get like a double like arm into thorax.
yeah, arm into thorax, you need like plus 50 plus pen. So the Golnik would do that.
My
In
bones
in
are made of
fairness,
titanium steel alloy.
yeah. So I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But yeah, like BP is still okay, you know. But people really universally hate BP. I use the RD a bit this wipe, and it's all right, fine. And then yeah, MIT-5501 and stuff that like people are normally using. There's like this
Mhm.
a lot of people using these like mid tier things, basically anything from 41 up to 45, just because it goes through class 4 helmets, and you used to be able to just pen through the soft armor easily and just kill them, so it was fine. But now, like, we might need to step it up a bit now. Is the only thing. So yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's just still the M62s, hybrid, and BTs, or maybe SMB. Outside of the craftables,
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know what else you can really use.
Yeah, and the
The fact that you can't
craftables
get
is
an M5,
like,
it's hard.
yeah, I mean craftables is like you got to do a bunch of prerequisites, and then once you do all that and do all the grinding, then you can craft it, but it's like, you know, 90 like every 18 hours, or maybe it's more like 12 hours because they did reduce it a bit. I remember, but it's kind of rough was my point. So compared to like
Yeah.
what the trader has and how frequently, you know, roughly every 4 hours, depending on the trader, you can get.
And now there's no global limit. You can always buy your allocation. You never
Oh,
get there when
that's
it's sold out.
true. I forgot
You
about
could
that.
always buy BT.
Yeah.
You can always buy hybrid. You can always buy the Ash 12, like PS12B. It's always available for you. You get your
Yeah.
allocation at least, which is cool. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice. I'm still excited by it whenever I go to the trade. And I'm like, oh, I can do the Bitcoin barter whenever I like. I can do, you know, get the ammo that I want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
much better.
nice. It's like just such a nice quality. Like it was a interesting idea on different levels, but super annoying because what the incentives were. So
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh, but it's you know, in a real war zone, you wouldn't have a situation where, you know, you were able to get everything at any time. Yeah, so I can sit there every 4 hours and just go click the button and get like it's like not it's not realistic,
you're
really.
like
It's not
sitting outside
immersive.
of
It's just
like Prepper's shack, knocking on it.
yeah,
Is it time yet? Is it
yeah.
time yet?
And Prapor like opens the door and opens the crate, and it's literally like, you know, 200 PMCs scrabbling to try and buy one. You know, like that's how it is. Right? There's no queue. Like it's just what are we simulating
It's like
here?
Black
You know?
Friday here in the US. We have like Black
There's people
Friday.
shooting each other over TVs. Like it's just
I need my SP6.
yeah, exactly. So I'm glad it changed to this because it just didn't really make sense. And unless they were going to do something else, like we talked about before, like putting
Yeah,
delays in or queues, or you put an order in or whatever. Like this is
right.
just it's so much better this way. It's it's good. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can still this is the thing. You can still get away with I think the mid tiers like 5501
Mhm.
and CBJ. Those are the classics right now. You know,
Yeah,
I mean 5501, CBJ, sometimes BP, that kind of thing. But yeah, there's just a difference between that and the good stuff that you can buy.
yeah.
I'm just thinking with the spear like now being one of the few good weapons that's available on the flea market, it's quite interesting. Somebody asked me the other day about, you know, oh, should we just make all the weapons available on the flea now?
Hmm.
And my gut instinct was like, no, don't do that. But then I was like, the spears then, that's okay. You know, what's the source of these weapons? Like, if you stop trader flipping, because the reason why the spear works, I think, is because you can't buy it from the traders unless you've done Lightkeeper task 326, right?
Hmm.
And so the supply of the spear is other players in raid, so it just recycles. It's
Yes.
like, you know, that's just a natural recycling thing, and like Kibber, because Kibber is awesome now. You can get classics plates in there. I've got like tons of random classics plates you can't buy.
Are they just loose?
Yeah,
Are
they're
they?
just like loose on top of the shelves in
That's
the
really cool.
cabinets. It's
Do the
really cool.
mannequins still have armor occasionally, or
They
is that
do
less
sometimes, yeah.
Okay, so about.
Apparently they do. I didn't really see it. I saw a lot of plates there. There's like static plate spawns basically. They just like
That's cool.
randomly through the room,
That's really
which is
cool.
really neat. So I've got things like it's just stuff that I haven't had before. You know, like the BR5s, like Karun VMKs and the things like that. There's stuff that you just don't normally pick up. I can't remember what the other one's called. There's like the diamond one, which I've got. I think I've got. I don't think I got a Karun VMK in the end, but I did get like 2 of the diamond classics plates. You could run a Gazelle and it's like meta config. Because that's actually one of the issues. Like, it's one thing I didn't really look into too much with. I did make a note of it with the armor tier list thing. And it didn't matter so much because S tier was all sappy style. But some of these other ones that are like the Gazelle, the downside to it is that you can't buy the classics plate. Whereas, you know, you can buy the cult termite now. And so you have to go and find the classics plate for the Gazelle or for the killer armor. So, like, yeah, they're good armors technically, but they come with the downside of you have to be running class 5 of them. So, with the ability to purchase classic, you'd think, well, I'm probably going to run a sappy armor because I can just replace every reset I can buy in my 1 or 2 cult termites, and they're insanely good. Actually, it's just as like a very random aside because it's something else that I should probably do. Like, nobody's done this yet, I don't think, because it just didn't matter. Is the plate durability? Because now it actually matters again, whereas it never used to. Because you could get your armor back in insurance, and all the plates were full. Like, your front plate maybe took like 1 shot, and that was it. So like the durability never really mattered because they were tiny, so they hardly got hit. Whereas now the
I see what you're
durability of the plates
saying.
themselves
Yes.
actually matters because they're getting half health, zeroed.
Yes.
You know, it
That's
now
true.
matters way more.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And I'd not really looked at it at all because I was using the eSappy for ceramic because I got a couple of those out of Kibber and I just threw it in because it's class 6. There's ceramic plates, so I'm probably just going to throw them away. But that's got an effective durability of 92. Whereas the cult termite has got an effective durability of 158. It's actually quite a big difference in
It is a
protection
big difference
between the two. And again, I'd have to go to the simulator and run it with the 2 different plates to see how much difference it makes. But I'm sure it does make a difference.
Yeah,
I'm sure it does
probably. Like, it's got to make a difference in cases like 55A1. I would imagine. Maybe that's too low, actually. Hard to say. You'd have to run the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's quite interesting. You know, and even just looking into some of the others like the class 5s, like the gag plate, which we've said is probably a bit OP. It's the 3rd best plate for protection. The cult, that's 133. The cult locust is 145, and the Tallcom Guardian is 147. So they're not high enough to make it worth taking a 3.5 kilogram plate over a 0.97 kilogram plate, right? So in class 5, it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, up in class 6, I think the lightest plate you can get is the Kiteco SC4, which is 133, and that's 2.4 kilos. But you can't buy them anywhere. So those, I think, are probably the best. Like, Cult Termite's a bit better. It's heavier, though. Maybe the best one is still the GAC one. I don't know. No, maybe it is the Kiteco. Not sure. It depends. It probably doesn't make enough difference on the stats. But yeah, it's tricky. Like, nobody's really looked into that. And then when you're looking at the other ones, that's what it's called. The Granite 4 RS. That's the one that goes in the Gazelle. But that's the same as the Sappy 4. That's like 92. Because again, that's ceramic. So ceramic plate.
Yeah. Breaks down really, really fast.
Breaks down fast. Can't repair it very well. And when you can't buy them, that's a real buzzkill, right? And it's 3.5 kilos.
Honestly, because of that, it's made like the Gazelles in general so weird, so rare to get a hold of, and then also so rare to like replace the plates in them. Because I don't think you can get the Gazelles like from a trader anymore, unless I'm wrong. Yeah, I didn't think so.
I think you have to find them on scavs and on boss guards and stuff because it's part of it's part of Sorry Good. It's it was tricky before, but I think actually because you need to plant them, don't you? For
that's hot delivery, is it? Or is
that's hot delivery. One? So that one gets really expensive.
Yeah.
So the Gazelle just gets like 400k for the armor because everyone needs to buy them, but you can't buy them from the trader. So
I hate stuff. I hate the stuff that's like, this is effectively a completely like useless item. Like, it's marketed really high, but it's like purely because it's a quest requirement. But it's like not even like economically viable to use it outside of that application. You know, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah. But just jumping back to this thing, what do you think about the whole like weapons thing?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that all the weapons should be available in the fleet? I always feel that without changing the ammo, maybe it's like if they fix the trader flipping, and then it's probably okay.
All right, how about this compromise? Let's circle back to that. I want to just quickly clear this out of my queue, which is the new locked room loot. Just as a quick aside.
We'll do that.
So this is going to be from Friendly Guy, where some of the people in the community send them some screenshots of some of the loot they got in these like new locked rooms on various maps. So you're gonna have to help me, because I'm kind of just like putting two and two together here, but I really don't understand. Like, there's these different names associated with maps. So there's Shatun, hope I'm saying that right. And he's got level 1 listed. And here in the screenshot, to be fair, like these inventories, they're kind of nutty. I mean, one of them has got like attack 30, a MP5 suppressor, a Saker ARE 556 suppressor, like custom. I assume these are like custom made presets for different weapons. Like there's a breacher, a shotgun with like different attachments, an MDR with like a various different attachments on it, waffle slicks. Like the loot in here, it's basically what we've kind of asked in the past for. Hey, put like this absolutely crazy, insane stuff found in raid in the raid, and it's like incentivize people to get it, and it makes it like better for everyone. New players can, if they get the chance to get it, whatever. But tell me a little bit about what's going on here, because I don't know if I understand the mechanics exactly.
Yeah, so these are the keys that you can buy from ref at different levels. So as you go up through different levels, you can buy different things. There's 4 keys in total. There is what did you say the first one was? Because I haven't actually been to it myself. Shatun, which is in woods.
Yes.
That one is in the Scav village, the one near the car extract.
Okay.
And it's in I think it's in the house with. Kind of trying to think about it. If you're looking towards the car extract down the street, it's one of the houses on the right. I think it's the second house on the right. It's the one with the little outhouse.
Okay.
You walk in and it's got the staircase up, and it's one of the rooms in there, I believe. And it's like the room downstairs. So you go past the stairs, and then it's the room on the end. So it's actually an existing room that got repurposed for this key.
Oh, okay.
So that's got
neat.
like a bunch of stuff, and that's ref level 1. Then you've got what's two? The next one is Grumpy's key, I think. It's called Grumpy's hideout. That one again is another room that has been repurposed. That is inside Power Station on Interchange.
Oh.
And that is the room that used to have, there's like a shower cubicle, like 2 jackets inside.
Yeah,
it's that room. So that's that. Lots of people saying that one's insane, and that's got like a good armor. Like Grumpy is, I think they're all presets, I think, but Grumpy's the one that I remember in particular because people were using it a lot in the arena tournament, and that was like the M995 M4 class. So that's got like all sorts of stuff. It's got helmets, armor, spears,
like
valves,
slicks,
and like all sorts of good stuff.
Plates,
like
ammo, ASAP. Like it's like S tier plus loot.
Yeah. Then you've got Voron's hideout key, which is in the power station on Shoreline.
Oh, okay.
It's in one of the rooms there. I think it's like the end room. If you walk through the ground floor of the power station, I think it's the final room in there. And you go into that, and that's also that can be quite good. I'm not sure if that's quite as good, but you can get night vision goggles, like Scar H's, MCX's, that kind of thing, like the decent stuff. And then there's one more as well, which I know in Friendly Guys one it's got question marks, but I looked it up afterwards. And this one is Leon's hideout, I think, which is bartered from ref level 4. Yeah, it's Leon's hideout key. And this is inside Lighthouse. It is in the building that somebody has called to me like the mayor's house or something. It's the house that it's right near the main, the main bridge.
Yes.
And it's that big one. It's the one that people say like, oh, go in here and there's a GPU in the box in the corner. And like, if you go upstairs, there's another rare spawn on the right hand side. It's in there somewhere. I've not been to it. It's kind of hard to recognize from the picture. It looks like it's near the staircase, like on the second floor. But that's got like armor, guns, G28, RSASs, slicks, X grids. that kind of stuff inside. It's kind of cool. You need to give Ref a Lega medal at level 4 to get one of those. Are they all Lega medals?
So,
I think they're all Lega medals.
are the keys one use?
They are 5, I believe.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, they're 5.
Yeah, I mean, because like in some of these screenshots, there's like Bitcoins, GP coins, rollers. You know, it's basically, there might be some variation, but in general, it's like armor plates, attachments, kitted guns, high tier ammo, and gold spawns.
Yeah. So to get these, you have to go to Arena, you have to do dailies or weeklies or whatever to earn Lega coins to then barter with Grumpy. You have to also have, not Grumpy, with Ref.
Yes.
So he's got to call him Grumpy from now on. With Ref, you obviously have to have a high enough rep with Ref as well to actually get the key that you're looking for, and then take that to Tarkov and use the key to unlock, and you get 5 uses. So it's like it's kind of cool, but it sort of sucks that these like juiced rooms are locked behind Arena, sort of. Like I don't know, it's fine. Like I've played a little bit of Arena recently. I've been trying to play like a match here and there to improve my PvP skills, and I so far haven't seen a daily that has a Lega coin in it so far.
So wait, they're not guaranteed. That makes it worse.
So they're all it's all GP coins so far for me. And it takes a while, right? Like you have to, because the dailies are either for free for all or for team fight. You have to like re-roll the team fight ones to try and get something sensible for free for all. But then it's like get 20 kills with CQB, which is fine. Or it's like be in the top 3 for CQB. Like it's like, man, that's hard to do like a day. I want to play this all day. I got other stuff to do. Like I want to play a couple of rounds. Like they only take 10 minutes. To be fair, the free for all matches. I think the free for all is fun, but I just don't enjoy playing the kits that you just spend a lot of money re-rolling. I feel like I'm just going to transfer money over to an Arena just to re-roll. It's like I'm going to spend money in Arena and then use the transfer to transfer money from Tarkov into Arena so I can re-roll daily quests so that I can get the right quest to get the Lega coin, to take the Lega coin back to get Grumpy's key, to then go and make more money in Tarkov. It's like the whole thing's like very circular.
Yeah, I would almost feel like a more simpler implementation would be like you just get like a flat currency from wins, and then X amount of flat currency equals 1 Lega coin, and X amount of flat currency equals 1 GP coin. You know what I mean?
I guess that'd be like a barter, right? You could barter for Lega coins with GPs maybe or something. I feel like maybe, I don't know. You still have to win them, I guess, but I don't know. I sort of like the Lega coins, its own item that's like not barterable, because it like stops this sort of fungibility thing that we talked about before, just like, grind enough GPs and eventually you can just get, the alt in or whatever. It's like you do have to do something big to get the Lega coin. I kind of get it, like makes it scarce and makes it more meaningful. But I see what you mean. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe you could do like barter a day or something, get like 1 or a week. I'm not sure. I don't know.
All right. Okay, yeah. So jumping back, I know we're like running kind of. How are we on time?
Yeah, maybe we do that next time. Maybe we do that next time about the guns. Not a required conversation.
That works.
Let's move on to something different.
All right. Tell me about empty ray detector.
Okay, so we'll do. Hopefully, this will be relatively fast. I don't think there's too much to say about it. Basically, somebody put something on Reddit about, finally I found a 101% safe way to tell if you're alone in a raid. They basically say, like, ever since PSG changed the matchmaking, I finally figured out how you can tell if you get a dead raid. It usually goes awaiting session start, waiting for players, countdown. However, if it goes from awaiting session start to countdown, and it does say, note, careful, you could be like the last guy that everyone was waiting for. But he says, like, if it skips loading players, it goes to the countdown, and you instantly have 3 scavs spawn in by your vicinity, close to your spawn, and you're 100% alone. I waited and tested this for 20 raids to confirm this was my lucky number. Enjoy. And the idea was just to be able to tell, if you're there, so you can go hunt the boss or whatever. I did a little bit of testing on my own because I had a bunch of like dead raids on streets.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see, exactly what the deal was. And it I don't know, it depends. Like, I think for sure, if you have an SSD and you're always waiting for players, like you've got a quick PC and you always load into raid faster than most other people, then it is true that you don't get waiting for players. It just loads. Right? It just loads in, and then if you're watching. But there's actually quite a few stages, and I couldn't get I didn't glean anything else useful, right? So it says deploying, creating game world, load. There's actually so many stages, way more than I thought, because I don't know, I don't really pay attention. Create a game world, loading data files, and then it says generating item pools, which like takes a split second. Then it goes loading map, caching data, matching, preparing the game, connecting to server, and then awaiting the server response, synchronizing with other players, which sometimes doesn't happen.
Yep.
And I don't know whether you could maybe tell how big or like how many other people there are, or maybe there's some networking issue or whatever. Because like I actually had some raids where there were players in there, but I didn't get synchronizing with other players as a stage, weirdly, because I ended up fighting them. But it seemed more likely than not that it was going to be quieter if you didn't get it, bizarrely. But it's just it's very anecdotal. I can't really tell. And it's like, yeah, you'll get this thing. What's sometimes weird as well, like I think you can tell when it's sort of fullish, maybe. Again, this is like don't quote me on this, but it says creating loot pools, right? And it's ticking up, and that will flicker to synchronizing with other players as the percentage is ticking up.
Yeah,
and that happens a couple of times, and sometimes that means it seems to be that there's like more people. It's like, you know,
right.
raids like relatively full. And then then you get a final synchronizing with other players, which sometimes doesn't happen. And then waiting session start, waiting for players, and then countdown. But some of these things, like sometimes it does some of them, and sometimes it doesn't do other bits. But yeah, basically this is the main one: is if you don't get waiting for players and you've got an SSD, you're more than likely to be there on your own, or maybe there's one other person who's got a fast PC or something. But it's just like it's very unlikely that if you've got a quick PC that you'll be the last person, waiting to queue in.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting.
It's interesting about the scav bit, because I felt similarly in that it's like you spawn and then like there's just like scavs instantly around you, and it's like you spent the whole raid fighting scavs. It feels like,
Yeah.
Like customs, it feels like this happens the most on, where it's like either by gas or by old factory, the western side of the map.
Or like railers,
Like
big red and stuff.
Opposite
East
side. What is that side
like
called?
That's just like the factory zone.
Yeah, factory zone. Yeah, that side I've felt like I've spawned there, and like instantly there's just like scavs everywhere, and they just keep spawning, and it's like, and you just spend the entire raid fighting scavs, and that's it. And you extract. It's like nothing exciting happened. You just fought scavs the entire raid. It's weird.
Yeah, because I had that on Lighthouse as well, and I think that's exactly that. It's like when there's no other players, there is some calculation of like don't spawn scavs near people. Like it doesn't always work that well, but there is some calculation there, some exclusion of some kind. But when there's nobody there, they just spawn constantly. And you can feel this if you go into offline mode. And even if you put the scavs just on like normal, like, yeah, there's no one else killing them either. But that also is the same as in an online raid when there's no other players. Like there's no one killing them either. And there's just scavs all over the place. And I was like, I was fighting like crazy yesterday. I was in lower chalet and they just kept on coming. There's just like scavs, more scavs, more scavs, more scavs, more scavs. It was mental. And it does feel like that. Another really interesting thing that I've found, and because people have talked about this before, but I don't think it's ever necessarily been confirmed by anybody, is that the loot scales with the players, the number of players.
I've heard. Yeah,
because I can't remember which map I was on. Maybe it was Lighthouse. I think it was Lighthouse, and it was like, again, this is where I like did a lot of my. This is where I was like looking up the the loading and stuff, and it was interesting in the raids that were quiet. They just there really didn't seem to be that much loot, and it was interesting for sure. I was like, I can see why people have said it in the past. It does feel like that's the case. Like when the raid's really quiet, also the loot pools, there's just seems to be more likelihood of it just being empty. Like you're going to a hillside house, and there's nothing in there, or you go up to upper chalet and there's nobody been there, right? Because you unlocked it with a key, or Marion is empty. You go into upper chalet, there's nothing in there. There's like maybe a can of Coke, and there's just like nothing rare. It's like interesting. I don't think it's out of the question. I've seen these accusations before, and I think it might be real. But anyway, it's not something that I ever really pay attention to, the waiting for players. But yeah, if you see no waiting for players, you just skip straight in. You got fast PC, then you might be able to just chill, wander around, go see if the boss is there. Probably by yourself, more than likely anyway. Especially if scavs spawn near.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you play Helldivers last week.
I did.
This week.
I did. It was fun.
How was it? Fun?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I felt like really rusty when I first
Yeah,
the
same.
first little bit, and then got back into it like much faster than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
And what was weird, I actually feel like the performance of Helldivers was worse than before. Maybe it's just because I was only playing Helldivers and wasn't really paying attention, but it feels like the game doesn't perform as well as it used to. And I've actually upgraded my GPU since then,
Yeah.
and it feels bad.
I had the same issue / experience. One thing that it could have been is because there is more smaller enemies that might have a factor.
Maybe.
Like, especially if you're playing bugs. And then also, some of my settings got like changed, and I don't know. I've been playing with like HDR, trying to like, anyways. So like, I don't know. That might have something to fit, and I like optimize, and I got much better frames afterwards. But I don't know, something, one of the two or none of the above.
Yeah, I get this weird slowdown sometimes when I like turn. It almost feels like I get this like it's not like a stutter, but it's like the game. It almost feels like the game stretches out a bit and then it speeds back up again. It's like weird. I don't really know what the deal is, and I don't think I got that before. It's a bit weird, but I looked into it, right? And you could do some like down resing, upscaling stuff in there, but I don't think there's any. Well, after doing a bit of reading, I don't think there's any DLSS or FSI implementation. So I don't know what it's using. It's maybe some the inbuilt version because they're on some like cooked engine that's like defunct. It's like Stingray, Autodesk Stingray or something, which is no longer under. It's not even being maintained or anything. So it's what they built all their games in. So they decided to go with that, but then it got discontinued or whatever. So they're like on their own with it, just like free floating. They're off the edge of the cliff. The feet are still running. So I don't know. But like it was a good time though. I enjoyed it. There's like a few extra things in. There's not as much stuff as I expected actually since coming back, but I've heard about the different patches, and they've gone from a lot of people complaining for a long time about Helldivers about nerfing lots of things, like nerfing the stuff that was good always, and they seem to have like buffed all the things that were bad this time, which is cool. Because I end up feeling like very pigeonholed into the things that I'm good at and know that work. So I like try to force myself out of my comfort zone a bit at least, rather than just using the same stuff over and over.
Yeah, it's tricky too because when you use other stuff, you have to like, especially stratagems, you have to like do the different muscle memory, and you may be used to the previous. Like if you play one kit a lot and then you change one item in that kit and stratagem, it's like brain, you like can't compute. But that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I watched like a fair amount of videos on the patch notes, and it's pretty cool. I mean, played a bit, wouldn't mind playing again, but just in general, it's kind of like a segue into like, I think they did a really, or I don't know who to give credit to, but what is the former COO or whatever his title is, or just the team in, we'll just say the team in general. It's like a really good balance sweep because it does suck when I think a lot of players in general, especially in today's like the way we approach gaming and media, the intersection, it's like new game comes out and then there's like all this like resourceful information available. Long gone are the days of like game magazines with like how to get the secret cutscene in Zelda or whatever. It's like it's all online based now and like content driven and like user generated stuff. So there's a lot of information out there, and like I think a lot of people typically want something that's like cookie cutter and just like what's the best thing, what's going to be the most effective thing, because it's just kind of like you don't have to think too much about it and you can just know that this is good. You know what I mean? Whereas like going through a process of actually trying everything out and learning everything and like the ins and outs, what's good in this scenario, what's bad in this scenario, you know what I mean? It's like
ages.
Yes, it's like so much. It's like you're at that point you're basically doing dev work for the devs. You know what I mean? It's like, which is ironic because I feel like that's what you and I like doing. It's like we like really, at least, especially me. I really like try and like, okay, guys, I know this Tesla coil has been killing you all, but I just really want to see if this thing's good in any scenario. You know, I'm sure there's a spot where it can shine. It's funny, but
You all have to wear the rubber
yeah,
suits.
that made them all wear the rubber suits. Oh my god, yeah, good times. There's there was one time where you just reminded me of something hilarious where I put on one of our friends was using the arc thrower a lot, which for those that aren't in front is like it's a stratagem called out and it shoots a lightning arc and it bounces off and stuns and zaps and ragdolls foes and friends alike. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna put it on kind of like as a joke because sometimes you're fighting like a charger, let's say, and you're on the front side of charger, and then because you want to like shoot their exposed butt, essentially their bug butt to like damage them and kill them. That's like their weak point. You got to be on the other side, and then if you arc, then it bounces through and hits your teammate and kills them or damages them or whatever. So I wore the suit, and then we played the match and like whatever. And then as we were extracting, I was like, "Hey, Emma, zap me," and she zapped me. And I was like, "Do it again." I can take it. So funny. As if my character wore the suit just so they could be electrocuted.
Did it work though? Did it work?
Yeah, I mean,
Did you
it's
take
like
any damage?
you take very little. It's 95% damage mitigation, which is like an insane amount. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe in the future they'll make it more relevant because it's like right now it's like a weird option because you're picking it to stop either getting electrocuted from yourself, which is like the Tesla tower, I think, and that's about it, or you're picking it to survive electricity from your allies, which is like, I don't know, it's just like kind of clunky because you like need to know that they're picking it, and then you'd have to like change and see it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just feels a little weird. But otherwise though, it's like, yeah, the balancing was like, God, there's so much I mean, there's a fair amount of content in there, like especially in like player choice, that it really sucks that like there was clear winners before and like clear losers, and like even like the not the latest one but the previous war bonds, which is like effectively their version of battle pass, if you will.
Yeah.
Like had an assault rifle in there that was like pretty much the exact same as like the starter assault rifle, but like practically speaking objectively worse. And it was like this warbond sucks. Like it's like and it was like a bunch of, because each warbond has like 3 maybe 4 equipment items that you can like whether it's like grenade, secondary, primary, you can kind of like play around with. And yeah, like it just kind of makes the game, I don't know. I was talking with a friend about this, and it's like I almost feel like they need to make the warbond system, like improve it, and I don't really know how, because like I feel that they don't have, like he was kind of suggesting that they should just pump out more content, and I'm like, yeah, I get that, but like he was like new world spaces, new environments, just kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, but that's probably like a lot of like dev work, and like you gotta get like a concept designer, then you gotta get someone to actually like make the models, do the artwork, and then you gotta like build it. I mean, I'm sure there's like a lot to it. And he's like, yeah, well, that's not my problem to figure out. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. But like, if I am gonna think about it, I'm gonna try to think about it realistically. So the one thing I was thinking was just like, when it comes to these war bonds, because it's basically like their monthly content update.
Yeah.
On top of the other stuff they do, but I'd say like it's a pretty big drive, because it's like when you play the game and you progress, you unlock primarily more stratagems, which is like great and fun. You get to try them, and eventually you'll unlock them all, and you'll be basically capped out. Like there's nothing more for that progression tree. You've completed it until they add something to it, right? It's completely freemium, essentially free, or not even freemium. It's just like it comes with the base game, right? And that's great like early on, but eventually they get zapped out, and so you're kind of left with either grinding out super credits to buy the battle pass to get the, you know, that new battle pass to unlock more additional gear along with cosmetics or whatever. But within the battle pass, like they have, it's like, how do I say this? It gives you more options. Like if I were to give advice to someone who was new to the game, right, and they had $10 to spend, and it's like, I want to spend my $10, what's the most value? And it's like, okay, well, first, what do you personally value? Do you like having fun, or do you want to like optimize winning, or you know what I mean? Like, you kind of need to figure out, because if you like, you know, fun, I may suggest this particular battle pass. If you want to like do the most economically efficient, what's going to give me the most best things, it's like, I personally would vote for the, I think it's called Democratic Detonation, which has the grenade pistol. Do you have the grenade pistol unlocked?
I think I do now. I don't have. So I have. Are there 5 now? Battle
I think
passes or
so.
5? 5
Five or
war bonds.
four.
I have the first 3,
Okay.
and I don't have the last 2 because I stopped playing. So I've never paid for them. I've always just ground out the credits in the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't get the last 2 because I haven't been playing for a bit. So I think I did unlock it in the end, but I haven't actually used it.
Okay.
Because I normally take the autocannon, so I don't normally need it because I can kill bug hives already.
Yeah. See, I mean,
That's one of the reasons why I love bug hives.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
that's
autocannon.
the autocannon's like, and it, through the stratagems, so you like unlock it naturally through just playing the game.
Yeah.
But like for me, the grenade pistol, it's, you can't like that autocannon. I can replace it with like any, like some other stratagems, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not 1-to-1, but there's like different alternatives. Whereas like the grenade pistol, in terms of secondaries, there is no other pistol that can take out bug hives. Because with the grenade pistol, you can take out bug hives or like factories, which gives you like so much flexibility in terms of build. Because now you can be like, all right, I'm gonna take grenade pistol, and because I'm taking the grenade pistol, I don't need an autocannon to take out bug hives. I can substitute a grenade pistol, so I can take something else. Like, it gives you so much more flexibility in terms of like build diversity, which for me, it's like, that's really valuable. And in that battle pass too, there's 2 other weapons. I guess like 3
crossbow or something.
There's the exploding crossbow. Yep, that can take out bug holes as well. So like, it, you know, and it's like, it's a primary, it's explodes, it's AoE damage, you know. There's the eruptor, the exploding sniper rifle grenade launcher projectile thing. I don't know what it's technically called, but it's basically a explosive sniper rifle, and that has the same functionality. So like, it really, and the other one is like, so like, first off, for me, that's like probably the most valuable one, because you would unlock so many more options in terms of your build diversity. And another additional one that's in a separate kit is the stun grenade and the like electrocution one. I don't know what it's called, but you know, it has I would say like most of the stuff there is like kind of not that great or useful. I mean, there's like a laser pistol, which is like kind of cool. Like,
I think it's like, I mean, when I used it, it was like bad, like really bad. Maybe they balanced it, but yeah,
it's very weak.
It was like 2 shots to kill a basic bug kind of thing. It's like, oh god.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, the interesting thing with the grenade or the lasers is like, in theory, you have infinite ammo if you maintain the cooldown of the.
I like that though. It's a good balancing.
I think that's cool. Yeah. But so yeah. Anyways, the stun grenade. It's like, you can't. There is no other thing in the game that currently does what that does. Like, the value of that is high. And my point is, like, it feels like some of these battle passes or war bonds is like, either they're like super insanely valued, like I gotta get this thing, or it's like there's really nothing in here that's that good. So, and it doesn't really like expand, because the in theory the game's progression, it's like semi-linear, but I think the intent is that it's horizontal, and this idea of like vertical progression and horizontal progression. And like in Tarkov, we would say most of the stuff is going to be vertical progression, where as you go up the progression tree, you're increasing your power level step by step, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think in Helldivers, the goal is more like horizontal, where it's, you're sort of like speccing in to a certain style. It's not necessarily that one is better than the other. It's like this is good for these particular tasks and not so good for these particular tasks, you know?
Yeah, and that works from a progression perspective because you get more choice as you go on as well. And it's one
Yes.
of those brilliant games where you have a limited pool of stuff, and as you get new things, you go, "Oh, how will this work? And how will this work?" And you kind of become comfortable with everything as you go through because it
Mm-hmm.
naturally your inventory fills out of stuff, and you're like, "Oh, actually, I can combine with that with this." And it's there's the armor as well that gives you some like different perks and that kind of thing. And there's like a little element of verticality because there's the ship
Mm-hmm.
upgrades which give you direct buffs to
Yes.
things.
Yes.
But outside of that, it's quite limited. It's like everyone has 4 stratagems and 1 booster. It's like there's not that much. It's then about like synergizing with the team or whatever. Like yeah, it's quite funny. I don't think I really use much of the Warbond stuff at all. I'm very vanilla
Mm-hmm.
player
Mm-hmm.
actually. I use the SMG 50, I think it's called. It's like
Mm-hmm.
basically the second gun that you get, I think, after the Liberator.
Yeah, yeah.
With the slow rate of fire. I use that. The autocannon,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like we all take the rail cannon strike because it's just so good
Yeah, yeah.
against charges.
Yep.
I use the Gatling strike, which apparently because one of my friends when we played the other day,
Oh,
he was like, oh, your favorite strategy has been buffed because it's just my like throw it down to kill like loads of stuff thing, and it's
right,
like
right.
twice the length now. I was like, oh man, this is great. So I use that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm not. I don't know. I usually take the 500 kilo. It's normally what I take,
Yeah.
but it's funny because like a lot of us adopted the strategy of just going like really light on armor rather than going really heavy. And so I
Mm.
have like one of the lightest scout armors. I think it might even be the one that you get. It's either like 2 or 3 up on the regular war bond, and it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the lowest armor you can physically get. But if you put a pin down on the map, it like does a UAV
Yeah,
scan
which
of
is
the
cool.
area, and I use that. So it's like my whole playstyles have revolved around like being super mobile, like not getting hit
Mm-hmm.
ever. Like I don't rely on the armor at all. I just like try not to die and not to get hit once, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
like it's quite fun. It makes you kind of better as well. It's like forces you to get better at the
Yeah.
game, like move more. I'm not necessarily the best player, but I like that feeling of me getting better, right? And a horizontal system works well for that because it's like, okay, you now have all these choices, and you can
Mm.
you are the player character, and you're improving. Like thinking of how bad we were when we first started and how good we are now.
Yeah.
I think like we weren't doing anything too crazy because there was only 2 of us, and then a third guy joined, and so I think we were playing 6 or 7 difficulty. I think we weren't playing like 9 with 2 of us because it's like kind of insane. But yeah, we could just 6 or 7 is not actually that hard now as 2 people, which is kind of nice to feel like that. It's good. So I like that feeling of me improving and my skills and getting better at the game and that kind of thing. And I think maybe that's partly why it felt like it took less time to get back into actually when I got to it. I think like after one game, I was like, oh yeah, I'm like back with the hotkeys and like know what I need to do, and this is all good. It felt good. I mean, that was using the old loadout that I used to use a lot, which is the autocannon
Mm-hmm.
loadout because I'm an autocannon guy. So all of the mid tier bots just get obliterated. But it's
Yeah.
interesting what you said about the grenade pistol because if I was using the grenade pistol, I tried using the really heavy machine gun, like the big machine
Yes.
gun. That's only got like 2 magazines to it.
Yeah.
And if you're sparing, like, you just stick it on the lowest rate of fire you can, and
Mm-hmm.
then just be very sparing because that will kill the same stuff that the autocannon will. And then that frees up my backpack slot actually, and also then the pistol I can have the grenade pistol to take out the hives because the machine gun won't do that. It's the only thing it
Mm-hmm.
won't do. And that actually filled a similar role, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because like what's weird is especially if you play with the same people all the time I feel like you end up getting pigeonholed into a role based on like because what you do fits with what everyone else is doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so because other people kind of fill their role, it's like, okay, we have
It's
enough people
true.
to take
Yeah.
out the really big stuff. We
Yeah.
have somebody who takes out like the smaller things. So I kind of
Yeah.
fit in that central role.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to fit a loadout around that because if I go, oh, I'm going to do, the big bug killing loadout, I have to kind of get somebody else to change it a bit. Um, Otherwise, we end up like having a hole in the
Yep.
thing. Like
Yep.
I always feel this way. Like whenever I change what I'm doing, because I feel like I almost feel I don't, this. But I'm sure everybody feels this way. But I feel like I play a very like unsung hero kind of role in Helldivers for our group because every time I don't take, if I just like dick about and take a loadout that's just like for funsies, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we end up spending like 5 minutes with like chargers running around after us. Like nobody could take it out. We don't have enough stratagems for it. There's like 2 chargers and then the waves of stuff. Like we always make it through, but it's just like a real slog. Whereas when I take the loadout that I normally have, it's like because I clear out that specific subsection of things and can deal with
Mm-hmm.
chargers here and there as well. It's like the game just it just flows. It's easy, but it's like not necessarily like noticed, so to speak. It's quite interesting. It's great. I always feel like it's so challenging, but then it's also not being as familiar with the other kits too. So that's and maybe it's just not synergizing as well because it's like trying something different, something random. So you actually do have a power slump within your team compared to what you did before. It's cool.
Yeah,
It's cool.
That's a good point. I never thought about that. It makes me kind of grateful that I have the friends that I do that put up with my very off meta, very like my kits are like they've definitely like I've strayed much further away from the Tesla coil than I used to. But yeah, now I think I understand a bit more. We're like, oh, church, you have to bring the Tesla coil. I'm like, yes, it's good. Trust me, I'm gonna EMS strike it. Everyone stay 50 feet away.
I had a friend like this. It was like that with the mines. She
Oh,
was just like, the mines are good, I swear. And it's just like, I turn around and boom, I'm dead again. I'm just like, right, stop bringing the mines, please. Or like, don't put them on the objective. Like, what? It's very, very funny.
Yeah.
Very, very funny. Yeah. I have one friend he's probably the best out of us. And so he kind of does like whatever. And then I kind of like fit around what he's doing. He has a remarkable ability just to kind of, he's either like mercilessly hunting down stalker nests or he's taking out jammers as the bots. That's like his speciality. He's like special ops. He's like, I don't know how he does it, but he seems to like not die and he just like goes into these places. Actually the stalkers give him more trouble normally, but like I'm always amazed at his ability to just like get into the jam, like even on like difficulty 9, just like get into the jammer area and just get in there and blow it up. And I'm like, how? Like, how did you do it? And he just does it on his own. Like, it's great. He doesn't really use us. He just runs away and he's just like, right, the jammer's down. And we're just like, okay, like there's 3 of us just, doing our normal stuff.
You guys are like being swarmed by bots, reinforcements. Yeah. It's like, Vietnam. Meanwhile, he's just like, la, 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 calling down the hell bomb.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't know how he does it. So yeah, it's like, I'm very like conventional warfare when it comes to our play. And then he's kind of like spec ops. And it's like, it's good. We have like a good mesh. It's a good mesh. But I like it. There's roles for everybody, you see, and you can you carve out your own niche depending on how you like to play, which is cool. Yeah. I love it. I still really, really like it. It's great. Like we were talking about this as well, just as we were playing. One of my friends was like, man, like every time I come back to Helldivers, it's a good time. Like it never gets boring. The game loop just doesn't get boring. And come back to it and just play the game. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Not necessarily even upgrading anything. Like we've all upgraded most stuff except maybe like there's like 3 ship upgrades. Because now it's like 150 oranges for each thing, and everyone's just like gate kept by these like, you've got to get like nearly 500 orange resources to get these like last couple of upgrades. But outside of that, like we have everything unlocked. It's like, it's just fun. It's dynamic enough. It's different every time. The maps are different. You've got different environmental things. It's like, this time you only have 3 strategies, or there's an extra stratagem. So now you've got like 110 rocket pods extra. So it's like, well, maybe I can take this thing that's slightly different then. I don't need that. Like covers like half of what I need. So it's just it's enough flavor to just like make it interesting. I wonder how many hours I've got in it. You probably have more hours than me now in it.
Surely. I mean, when I eventually got around to it, I mean, I sunk in a lot of hours when
I'm like 117 now, so it's getting there.
Oh, okay. I mean, I have 148, so that's actually
not too different. Yeah. I played quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great game. I think my group, especially a couple of my friends, they'd like one of them is like in the hundreds in terms of level. I forget what it is, but like since the game came out, like they were like they just love the game. So, and I think they kind of like played out of it a bit. So like we've played a lot less, but I still like it.
So
I just hope it like continues to do well and they can like keep up with the pace that they want to keep up with while still being, because I mean the fact that it's like $40 and yes there's like microtransactions, but I would, in my opinion, it's like if you play the game and you enjoy the game, it's completely optional. You know what I mean? It's just like,
absolutely. I've never put a cent in, right?
Yeah.
And outside of the purchase price,
right?
And it's completely fine. Like it's only if you want extra things. Like, so I have like, I think it's like 50-50. Half of our group paid immediately and bought stuff, and the other half didn't bother and just unlocked it naturally. And it's like, doesnve matter. We all have fun. Whatever.
If you can't, if you have no patience, low, impulsive actions like myself, and you may buy this stuff because I spent like I can't remember. I spent like $20. I was like, you know what? I don't want to sit here and grind it out. I just want to play this cool stuff now. I can't wait. You won today, microtransactions. You won today. I am weak. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I like the studio a lot. I hope that I think that's kind of my only like. This was kind of like a talk about balancing, but now I just feel like I'm just rambling about Helldivers. It's like the something about the progression I would just like to see change a little bit, either with the battle passes, like making them like I don't know. I don't really know what I want exactly, but I guess just like making it feel less top heavy on certain battle passes. Like this latest one, even I'm not even sure. Like in comparison, like actually, what I would say is I like like they're doing like a thematic style, which I think is cool, cute, fine, whatever. But like specifically that explosion one was just like, dang, this is like, there's a lot of value in these, and like I would actually prefer it to be a bit more spread out, if you know what I mean. Like you can keep the same monthly format, but like the electricity one, for example, the 3 armors in there all do the exact same thing and have like all the same exact stats. Like they're all medium armors, I think, and they all have the electricity reduction. It's like,
make one lightweight, one heavy.
Yeah, like you don't have to come up with 3 new, completely revolutionary designs. Like this one can reflect electricity. This one's an electric shield. You don't have to do that. But just give me a little bit more flex, a little bit more variance. Spread. Spread it out a bit more. It's a tough thing. And then the other thing I would say is just like I like that they changed the. There's less bigger enemies. Like remember, like Bile Titans. There's like way less of them, which for me is like a positive because I felt always compelled to like bring in some type of like explosive launcher on my back, and also like airstrike, eagle strike, and like the 500k, sorry, or 50k, whatever it's called. And
you got pinned into doing the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Whereas now I'm like, man, let me just be all AOE crowd. I'm gonna grab the stalwart, the air burst, the Gatling barrage. Like I'm just gonna any big groups, they're mine. Let my team have the orbital strike or whatever, and for the Bile Titan. And I hope they like that would be my suggestion is like the weather and stuff is like kind of cool, but like it's hard for them to really do much. Maybe they could like I was thinking more like enemy, like maybe there's like a legendary Bile Titan that has like a higher spawn on this particular day, or something just to make it to where it's like, oh my god, guys, there's a slight change because like the weather stuff doesn't really change your loadout necessarily. I don't think, anyways, except for maybe like the cold one where it's like colder weather, so you get better cooling on your heat weapons.
So maybe you want to take one of the sickle or something, but
but if there was like an increase spawn chance of Bile Titans or an increase of like flyers or like a golden legendary flyer could spawn, so you had to like prioritize, something to deal with that on average. I feel like that would bring a little bit more variety, especially in the terms of like strategy, team composition. Because you brought up a good point. Like that's interesting. I never really thought about how much you may sort of like get pushed in within your group into a particular role, and if you were to change something, you almost like funk up the entire dynamics of your strategy.
because you can't take everything you need on your own. So now I'm pleased to see the game still doing well though. Like looking at it, even just before, like when we weren't playing, there's still 50,000 concurrents minimum, it seemed. That's obviously like the peak per day. But then they've released like this new balance update. It's like 90,000. I think it's gone back down to 50, but it'd probably go up to 60, 70k over the weekend again. I would imagine we'll probably be playing it again. Like it's pretty healthy for 50k players. I would say it's pretty healthy for a game that's sort of out of cycle a bit. Until something dramatic comes, probably won't go up more than that. But like 50,000 players is like plenty.
Yeah,
for these games.
I hope so. I mean,
it seems to be doing well
with them being,
and that's just PC too. That's just Steam. But there's PlayStation
true.
As well.
Yeah.
So it's maybe more than that.
Just with them being, are they owned by Sony? I can't
I
remember.
don't know. I don't think so, but it's like it's kind of in partnership with Sony.
I know they're the publisher. At least I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I feel like Sony like funded part of it or something as well. Something like that, because it was on PlayStation. They kind of like backed it in some way. I think they're like, I think they're still an independent studio, but I think they got
Okay.
like Sony back this or something like that. I'm not 100% on the details, but
Yeah, I mean, it says PlayStation Publishing, Arrowhead Game Studios. Anyways, point being is I would just hate for it to be like, you know, Sony, your quarterly report's up, you're down by 13%. We're gonna have to cut your entire division. You know what I mean? It's just like, I would hate that to be the case. This
yeah, I
sucks.
don't think
Like,
they have that kind of power, thankfully.
I certainly hope not.
But yeah, it's good. It's good. But
Yeah.
yeah, probably play some more. It's good fun. Do enjoy it. A good blast, and it's a good time with people just to like catch up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so intense that you can't, like, that's the problem with Dota that we found. It's like it's not so intense that you
Yes.
can't actually talk,
Or
but
even
it's
have
also
fun.
yeah, or even have fun. But it's not like, I don't know. It's not too kind of I don't know, like Tarkov as well. You're also like, it's not like, that's more intense. You're kind of like always on edge, whatever. You don't feel like you can just casually chat. Whereas like in this, you can just like, you can catch up while you play, which is like
Yeah.
really really cool.
Yeah.
It's like a really nice thing for us anyway as a group. It's like good. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Big fan. Big fan.
Plus, if you die, you know, it's like you're not just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. Like, that makes
Yeah.
Tarkov such a hard
And
game.
when the third guy, fourth person comes on along, right? It's like last night or the other
Oh,
night. It
yeah.
wasn't last night, but the night before. I was like, I played with a friend, and the other guy's like, "Oh, hey, I'm here now," and just like, "Cool, just join in, like, just drop in." Like, it's so good. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't get over like how good those things are as like design decisions. Just makes
Mm-hmm.
it so easy to play. You don't feel like you're
Mm-hmm.
fighting with the game to try and enjoy yourself. You know, it's just like, yeah, you want to play with your friends? They're halfway through the mission. Sure, just drop in, just drop one in, off you go. Just pick some strategies, and boom, in you go. Fabulous. It is fabulous. Love it. Game of the year.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, next week I'll let me put this down. We'll talk about the weapons of all weapons available in Fleet, essentially. That was the idea.
Yeah. I'll have to think about it as well. So I haven't really decided yet. So
Yeah, because I was, just as a quick bit, you know, the spear is interesting because it's like, it's on the flea, but it's like also the only caliber that accepts the ammo, right?
mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a unicorn in that sense. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tricky with Tarkov because it's like you got ammo, armor, and weapon, and like LPS and a Mosin maybe is fine, but like LPS and AVT, that might be a little scary, you know? So it's like, how do you distribute that balance wise? So, anyways, we'll have a think about that.
Absolutely.
Anything else before we wrap it up, Giga?
I think that's probably it. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. Going to be carrying on with the SVD a little. I'm probably going to do a video about some good guns to use at some point. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Carrying on with all the usual stuff.
All right. Well, with that, we will catch you all next week. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye bye.